Chapter 71. Distracting trouble, that's it? 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? I watched it fly out from a nest on a tree, and it's a direction idiot. It knocked me under the tree, probably some demon bird caught to feed the young bird. Yun Chujio held the little black bird's short wings in disdain. Wah, the little black bird kept struggling and crying. Everyone listened to Yun Chujio's words and felt that it made sense. After all, the level of the fire-breathing crow was very low, and it should not appear here. But if it was some demon bird that was caught to feed the young bird, then it was understandable. Right, the moment I fell from the tree, I thought I saw a man in black jumping into the pit. Before I fainted, I was puzzled. The pit was full of lava. Why wasn't he afraid of the heat? Yun Chujio suddenly said as she slapped her thigh. It was only then that everyone snapped out of their daze and squeezed themselves to the edge of the pit. Even though the temperature inside the pit was still very high, these people had their spiritual energy to protect their bodies, so they could withstand it. Look, isn't that the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird's egg? Following this scream, several flashes of light appeared at the edge of the pit. Everyone used various methods to start fighting over the eggs inside the pit. A quarter of an hour later, more than half of the people died, and the monkey-faced old man snatched the egg. The old man's group surrounded him and then focused on the egg in his hand. Ha ha ha! The 9-colored immortal vermilion bird's egg is mine. This is... The old man almost fainted from anger when he saw the egg in his hand. There was a piece of charred black stuff stuffed inside the white eggshell. It was just a piece of rotten wood. We've been tricked. We've been tricked by that man in black. He must have used this eggshell to delay us. Perhaps the previous pattern was caused by the contract. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Damn it! The monkey-faced elder said angrily. Everyone listened to the old man's words and couldn't help but nod one after another. Some people still cast doubtful gazes at Yun Chujio. Could it be that this little girl is calling for help? That's right. This little girl was the only one here. Perhaps that black crow is the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? Yun Chujio timidly tugged the corner of Elder Sun's clothes. Elder Sun, I really didn't see any 9-colored immortal vermilion bird. Elder Sun had always felt guilty. Seeing Yun Chujio so frightened, he felt that the little girl was even more pitiful. He snorted coldly. Are you all blind? This little girl doesn't have any spiritual force at all. How can she form a contract with the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? Besides, do you believe that the black crow is a 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? As if to verify Elder Sun's words, the little black bird cried out again. Wah 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 wah. The people who were suspicious looked at each other. That made sense. This little girl did not have any spiritual power. How could she have formed a contract with the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? Moreover, the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird was extremely arrogant. It would not choose such a trash as its master. They sized up Yun Chujio and the little black bird again and finally dispelled their suspicions. If that little black bird was really the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird, the little girl should have hidden it and not taken it out to yell. Yun Chujio was secretly happy, but she asked curiously, Elder Sun, why do you think the person in black is not afraid of the lava? The lava is so hot. The speaker had no intention, but the listener was interested. The monkey-faced old man rolled his eyes. That person wasn't afraid of the magma, so he definitely had a unique treasure. Moreover, he was alone, so he couldn't let him escape. The old man gave his men a look, summoned his flying sword, and left quickly. These people were all smart people. Whatever the old man thought of, they naturally thought of it too. If they killed that person, not only would they be able to obtain the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird, but they would also be able to obtain a heavenly treasure. How could they miss out on such a good opportunity? Therefore, everyone quickly summoned their flying swords or spirit weapons and left as well. Elder Sun and the rest were naturally unwilling to give up such an opportunity. Elder Sun summoned his flying sword and carried Yun Chujio onto it, chasing in one direction. Chapter 72. Your name is Black. Yun Chujio thought to herself, there shouldn't be any loopholes in my speech. It would be perfect if a man in black appeared now. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, she heard a battle cry from the front. Quick! It's this person. Don't let him escape. That's right. He must have stolen the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird. Chase after him. Stop. Hand over the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird and the spirit tool, and I'll spare your life. Yun Chujo was overjoyed. Oh my God, which big brother angel appeared? Good, he came just in time. And Feng was about to cry. Was it easy for him? It was not easy for him to get rid of the beasts and follow the thunder to find the black girl. Why did a group of people rush out to kill him? What 9-colored immortal vermilion bird? He didn't even see any feathers, alright? Damn it. Originally, his spirit energy was already suppressed in the Azure Mystic Continent, and these people were all experts of the Azure Mystic Continent. If he didn't run, could it be that he was waiting to be beaten up? The group chased after them madly, and Feng used his old life to escape from them and disappeared. Seeing that their pursuit was fruitless, they could not help but beat their chests and stamp their feet in regret. It would have been better if they had gone after him earlier. The spiritual energy of this man in black was so high that he was definitely not an ordinary person. Just which force was he from? Everyone's last doubt about Yun Chujo disappeared completely with the appearance of Enfeng. Since they could not catch up to him, there was no point in staying here. The people who were close to him exchanged some pleasantries and left. Let's go. We'll send you back to Yi City. Elder Sun and the others brought Yun Chujo onto the air transportation spiritual tool. Yun Chujo held the little black bird's wings and muttered to herself, "Humph, damn little black bird. I told you to bump into me. I'll roast you when I get back." Elder Sun couldn't help but laugh. This fire-breathing crow might have saved your life. If it hadn't knocked you unconscious, you really might have been struck by lightning. Yun Chujo was secretly delighted. Oh my Grandpa Fatty, you are really my lucky star. I was waiting for this sentence. Yun Chujo pretended to think for a while and then said, well, what you said makes sense. According to what you said, this bird is my savior. It is so small and probably doesn't know anything. I will take it back and raise it. Although this fire-breathing crow's rank is a little low, its temperament is gentle. Although you can't sign a contract with it, if you develop feelings for it, you can still treat it as a spirit pet. The square-faced old man consoled. Yun Chujia's little face showed a happy smile. Really? I can have a soul pet too? That's great. You will be called Little Black from now on. The little black bird almost fainted from anger. Little Black? Little Black. I have such an awesome and shiny image, and you gave me the name of a dog? Well, I'm not black. I won't scream even if I die. Yun Chujia's little face bloomed with joy. Little Black, are you too happy because you have a name? Ha ha ha. Little Black, Little Black. The little black bird felt that she had probably made a wrong choice. This little black girl's heart seemed even darker than her face. When Elder Sun and the others saw Yun Chujo like this, they sighed. This little girl was still naive and romantic after suffering so many tribulations. She was really pure and kind. If the little black bird knew what they were thinking, it would probably roll its eyes in anger. How could this guy be so naive and romantic? He was obviously full of tricks, okay? And he was pure and kind? He was obviously sinister and vicious. Chapter 73. Enough is enough. When the air transportation spiritual tool was approaching Yi City, Yun Chujo saw the 3 air transportation spiritual tools from the drifting cloud sect through the window. They were probably preparing to head to the Bai family. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and had an idea. Immortals, can this window be opened? I want to greet the drifting cloud sect over there. Yun Chujo asked timidly. Drifting cloud sect? That sect's reputation isn't very good. How are you related to them? Elder Sun was slightly displeased. Yun Chujo was overjoyed in her heart. Bad reputation? Haha, it would be great if it was bad. I was worried about how to intimidate others, but now it seems to be much easier. Elder Sun, it's like this. Our Yun family and the Bai family don't have a very good relationship. When we were in the demonic beast forest, the Bai siblings wanted to kill me. I used a little trick to capture Bai Moru and coincidentally met Bai Moru's cousin, Su Yanran. Su Yanran's aunt was an elder of the Drifting Cloud sect. In order to save my life, I told them that my master was an elder of the Spirit Radiance sect. She was afraid of the Spirit Radiance sect, so she didn't kill me and was prepared to bring me back to the Drifting Cloud sect. Who would have thought that they would abandon me during the demon beast riot? Yoon Chujo blabbered on, telling half-truths and half-truths about the matter, then awkwardly and guiltily grabbed the corner of her clothes. Immortals, I'm really sorry. I felt that the Spirit Radiance sect was the best, biggest, and most upright sect in our Azure Mystic continent, so when I lied, I used the Spirit Radiance sect. You don't blame me, right? The old men were indeed a little unhappy at the beginning. This little girl was obviously preparing to use us to intimidate Elder Su. However, when they heard what Yoon Chujo said about the best, largest, and most upright, they couldn't help but feel much better. Humph! That drifting cloud sect has done a lot of shameful things that bully the weak and fear the strong. There is no harm in warning them. Mountain Master, just agree. This little girl is really pitiful. Elder Sun saw Yoon Chuji's pitiful look and couldn't help but soften his heart. The square-faced old man nodded slightly. Know your limits and know when to stop. Yoon Chuji's little face instantly regained its vitality, and her two eyes sparkled as she repeatedly thanked them. Immortals, you are all great people. I will definitely repay you in the future. The elders merely smiled and did not take it to heart. How could a little girl who could not cultivate repay us? Now that Yoon Chujo was hugging her thick legs, she naturally had to show off. After the window of the air transportation spiritual tool opened, Yoon Chujo happily waved at the air transportation spiritual tool of the drifting cloud sect. Hey, Elder Su, didn't you want to meet my master? My master is here. Not only is my master here, but my martial uncle and martial uncle are also here. Do you want to meet them? Elder Su, do you still remember when you asked me to visit your drifting cloud sect? Do you need me to bring my master, and uncle master along? Elder Su, your air transportation spiritual tool looks a little shabby. Do you want to come to our air transportation spiritual tool to take a look? The people from the spiritual radiance sect. Looks like this black girl doesn't know when to stop. Elder Su was both angry and afraid. The air transportation spiritual tool opposite him had the bright insignia of the spirit radiance sect on it. Moreover, this air transportation spiritual tool was rather high-end. The owner's status in the Spirit Radiance sect was definitely extraordinary. He did not expect that the black girl's master was really an elder of the Spirit Radiance sect. Elder Su glared fiercely at the bi-siblings and put on a smile. Miss Yoon, it was all a misunderstanding previously. Please don't take it to heart. Chapter 74. Murder without blood. Yoon Chujo curled her lips. Forget it. My master always taught me to be tolerant. Let's just turn this page over. Elder Su laughed dryly and said a few words. However, he was still a little uncertain in his heart. He probed, Miss Yoon, may I know which elder of the Spirit Radiance sect your master is? May I pay my respects? Just as Yoon Chujo was hesitating on what to say, Elder Sun snorted coldly. I am Sun Boizhong of the Spirit Radiance sect. There is no need for me to pay my respects. The Drifting Cloud sect really has the leisure to get involved in worldly affairs? When Elder Su heard Elder Sun's name, his legs could not help but go soft. He almost knelt on the ground and said with a trembling voice, Elder Sun, this is all a misunderstanding. I will immediately leave this place and never interfere with the conflict between the Bai and Yoon families. Elder Su felt a lingering fear. The Spirit Radiance sect's Sun Boizhong was famous for being reckless. He even dared to talk back to the sect master of the Spirit Radiance sect at times. Fortunately, there was a demonic beast riot. Otherwise, if she really brought his disciple back to the Drifting Cloud sect, this old fellow might even tear down the Drifting Cloud sect. Elder Su immediately landed the air transportation spiritual tool on the ground and glared at Bai Mayu and Bai Moru. If it weren't for Yenran, I would have killed all of you today. How dare you lie to me? You're courting death. Scram. Don't ever appear in front of me again. Bai Moru screamed, it's fake. It must be Yoon Chujo who used a trick. Why would an elder of the Spirit Radiance sect take a useless person as his disciple? Elder Su kicked Bai Moru's chest. Idiot. Scram. Although Elder Su did not use his full strength, this kick still sent Bai Moru flying more than 100 feet away. She vomited blood and fainted. Bai Moyu was much smarter than Bai Moru and knew that there was no point in saying anything else. He bowed respectfully and carried Bai Moru away. When Su Yanran saw that Elder Su was so furious, she secretly complained about the Bai siblings. She knew that they were things that could not be shown in public. Now her aunt might even blame her. Yun Chujo sat on the air transportation spiritual tool and watched this scene. If she didn't care about her remaining image, she would have rolled on the ground happily for fun. Little Black, do you see that? Although your master's spiritual force is not high, his brain is good. Killing without spilling blood is the way to describe your master. Yun Chujo said smugly in her consciousness. Isn't it just acting pitiful? What's the big deal? The little black bird said disdainfully. Wrong. 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 There are many pitiful people in the world, but why is it only me, your master, who is doing so well? That's because acting pitiful requires skill. Plus, your master is as beautiful as a flower, talented and intelligent. The little black bird flopped onto the ground and began to vomit. Elder Sun asked in confusion, little girl, what happened to this fire-breathing crow? Yun Chujo calmly lifted up the little black bird's wings. It's okay. I guess she has nothing better to do. Little black bird. Everyone. Cough. Little girl, Yi City is up ahead. I'll send you down. Elder Sun coughed dryly. Ah, immortals, it's getting late. Why don't you rest at my place for a night before leaving? The square-faced elder waved his hand. We still have matters to attend to, so we won't disturb you. All the immortals have saved my life several times. Even if I don't stay, a cup of tea would be good too. At least let me express my gratitude. Yun Chujo sincerely urged them to stay. If she didn't happen to meet a few elders, it would be hard to say if she could keep her life. Even though Yun Chujo was sincere in asking them to stay, the elders still insisted on leaving. Yun Chujo could only respectfully bow to the elders. Immortals, although I, Yun Chujo, am weak, I will remember your kindness. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay it. The elders felt warmth in their hearts and they sighed. This child was really pure-hearted. The little black bird was so angry that it rolled its eyes. Heart of a pure child? This was simply the most vicious woman's heart. Chapter 75. I want to change master only when the shadow of the air transportation spiritual tool was gone did Yun Chujo hop into Yi City. It was evening and the sun was setting. The streets were covered in a layer of gold. Little Black, do you smell happiness? Being able to live is happiness. Yun Chujo looked at the scenery in front of her and couldn't help but sigh. I only want to eat now, I'm going to starve to death. My reserve grain was thrown away by you. The little black bird stood on Yun Chujia's shoulder, hugging its little wings and humming unhappily. Aya, now that you mention it, I'm hungry too. Let's go. Master, I'll bring you home to eat and drink. My cheap grandfather might be worried to death. Yun Chujo said and jumped out. The pitiful little black bird was still trying to act cool, but it did not expect Yun Chujo to suddenly accelerate and fall to the ground. When Yun Chujo heard the sound, she turned around and almost laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. You said that you have wings, but you actually fell to the ground. You are too stupid. What a stupid bird. The little black bird felt that its bird life was hopeless. Can I return the goods? I don't want this black-hearted joker to be my master. I want to change owners. Why am I so miserable? When Yun Chujo saw the little black bird staring at the green bean with resentment, she felt a little guilty. Get up. The food in the big kitchen is very fragrant. The braised pork is soft and fragrant, the steamed fish is very fragrant, and the fried balls are crispy and sharp. Before Yun Chujo finished her words, the little black bird flew to Yun Chujia's shoulder. My dear master, let's go home quickly. It won't be good to make grandfather wait. Yun Chujo. The man and bird had just hopped to the entrance of Yun Mansion when the guards at the entrance ran in to deliver the letter. Soon Yun Xiaotian came out with a group of people. Little Jiu. Yun Xiaoshan's eyes reddened. This half a day had been a torture for him. He was afraid that his granddaughter and son and daughter-in-law would end up in the same state. Although little Jiu had a master, the Drifting Cloud sect was not to be trifled with. Entering the Drifting Cloud sect was like a sheep entering a tiger's den. Grandfather. Little Jiu is unfilial and made you worry. Yun Chujo saw Yun Xiaotian like this and her nose turned sour, and her eyes turned red. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Yun Xiaotian saw that although Yun Chujo looked a little disheveled, she was in good spirits, so he was slightly relieved. Big brother. Wait. This Yun Chujo is the root of all trouble. How can the drifting cloud sect be easy to provoke? If we don't remove her from the Yun family, it will implicate the entire Yun family. The one who spoke was the second elder of the Yun family, who was also Yun Chuer and Yun Chushan's grandfather, Yun Xiaobo. His pair of triangular eyes stared gloomily at Yun Chujo. That's right, patriarch. This Yun Chujo only knows how to stir up trouble. Although we don't get along with the Bai family, it didn't turn out like this. If we weren't lucky, Chushan and the rest would have all been killed today. Only by kicking this scourge out can the drifting cloud sect calm down. Yun Chuer and Yun Chushan's father, Yun Changsheng, chimed in. Master, that's not what happened. It wasn't little Jiu who caused trouble. It was the Bai family who started it. If little Jiu wasn't vigilant, we wouldn't have been able to come back safely. Yun Chui quickly stood up to explain. Yes, big brother is right. Little Jiu was willing to sacrifice himself to save our lives. How can you blame little Jiu? Yun Chuheo also came out to prove it. Yeah, it's not little Jiu's fault. We should thank little Jiu instead. Apart from Yun Chushan, the younger generation of the Yun family all proved that Yun Chujo was innocent. Yun Xiaobo narrowed his triangular eyes slightly and snorted coldly. What do you juniors know? Since Elder Su has his eyes on Yun Chujo, how can he let it go? If we don't take the initiative to express our sincerity, the entire Yun family will be finished. Chapter 76. I'm really not jinxing it. When everyone heard Yun Xiaobo's words, they all had worried looks on their faces. That's right, the drifting cloud sect was a giant that the Yun family could not afford to offend. What should they do? When Yun Xiaobo saw everyone's expressions, he could not help but feel proud in his heart. Big brother, you've been protecting Yun Chujo for so many years, and we haven't said anything. But today's matter concerns the survival of the Yun family. You can't be soft-hearted anymore. You must drive Yun Chujo out of the Yun family. Second brother, if I don't agree to hand over little Jiu, what do you plan to do? Yun Xiaotian snorted coldly. Yun Xiaobo couldn't help but feel a little guilty. He gritted his teeth and said with a stern expression, Big brother, this concerns the survival of the Yun family. If you insist on doing it, then we will re-elect the family head. Yun Xiaotian looked deeply at Yun Xiaobo. Third brother, fourth brother, fifth brother, what do you say? Third elder Yun Xiaohui was a tactful and worldly person. He laughed and said, I don't have any objections. Whatever you decide, I will follow. Fourth elder Yun Xiaohai was a straightforward person. This is indeed an undeserved disaster. Can't be blamed on little Jiu. The Bai family has always been eyeing us covetously. Even if there is no such thing, it's only a matter of time before they launch an attack. Fifth brother, what about you? Yun Xiaotian nodded slightly and looked at fifth elder Yun Xiaowen. Now that things have come to this, the key to solving the problem is not to do anything to little Jiu, but how to deal with that elder Su. Using our own children to block trouble is not the style of Yun family. Fifth elder Yun Xiaowen had always looked down on the devious Yun Xiaobo. Good. Good. All of you are strong-willed. I'll see if you regret when the Yun family is destroyed. Separate. I want to separate. Our second branch wants to leave the Yun family, and we won't be buried with Yun Chujo. Yun Xiaobo's old face was red. The veins on his forehead were bulging. Yun Xiaoshen's face was very ugly. Although he hated what Yun Xiaobo had done, separation was absolutely not allowed. If they divided the foundation of their ancestors, how could they face their ancestors? Just when the atmosphere was extremely tense, Yun Chujo raised her small hands and said weakly, can I say something? Yun Xiaobo snorted coldly. It's all because of you. What else do you have to say? I really have nothing to say. It's just that elder Su has already left. She said that she won't interfere in our Yun family, and by family's matters in the future. Oh right, that elder Su kicked Bai Moru until she vomited blood before she left. Yun Chujo said slowly. Everyone fell into a strange silence. Then Yun Xiaobo cried out in shock, impossible. How could elder Su leave for no reason? How could she kick Bai Moru? Yun Chujo spread out her hands. I had no choice. I met my master on the way. My master only said one sentence. And Elder Su was so scared that she ran away. Your master? Yun Xiaobo's voice suddenly became sharp. You're a trash. Where did you get a master? Second elder, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, then forget it. You can go and ask around. Was by Moru kicked until she vomited blood. Oh right, my master even caught a bird for me to play with. Yun Chujo lifted the short wings of the little black bird. She said smugly. Yun Xiaobo's expression changed several times. He didn't know whether what Yun Chujo said was true or not. However, this bastard had returned on his own. Perhaps what she said was true. It was better to send someone to ask around. What nonsense. This old man will go and verify it. What's there to show off about an unlucky fire-breathing crow? You're really ignorant. Let's go. Wah ww. Little Black scolded angrily. You are the unlucky one. Your whole family is unlucky. If you fall while walking, you will die. Yun Xiaobo, who was walking out, stumbled and fell. His chin hit the bluestone. Yun Xiaobo opened his mouth and with a smack his two front teeth retired. Yun Xiaobo was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He was helped up by Yun Changsheng and left while cursing. Little Black opened his eyes wide and covered his mouth with his two small wings. Black girl, it's not me, it's really not me. I'm just learning crow's call, I'm really not a crow's mouth. Chapter 77. The damn gigolo arrived. Yun Chujo glanced at Little Black. Alright, I know it's not you. If you really have this ability, then it would be great. If I don't like anyone, just say a few bad things about them and they will be unlucky. I can't wait for that. This young master's ability is much better than any crow's mouth. Black girl, don't tell me you're going to make me pretend to be a crow? If you want to be bled and plucked, then speak in human language. I'd better learn crow's call. Speaking of which, learning a foreign language is so important. Seeing that Yun Chujo had returned safely and that the crisis of the drifting cloud sect had been resolved, the third elder and the others all took their leave. Yun Xiaotian was anxious to ask Yun Chujo some details, so he did not ask her to stay. Yun Chua checked Yun Chujo up and down and only felt relieved when she found that there was really no wound. Yun Chusher, on the other hand, had been curiously sizing up the little black bird. The little black bird had a proud look on its face and its neck was raised high. It did not even look at the crowd. Little Black, what on earth is going on? Is it really your master who has come? Yun Xiaotian still did not believe it. Grandfather, don't worry. That Elder Su definitely won't dare to come and look for trouble again. I'm so hungry, can you let me have dinner first? I'll report to you after dinner. Yun Chujo said pitifully while holding her stomach. Wah ww. Little Black was immediately energized when it heard that it wanted to eat. Everyone couldn't help but twitch the corner of their eyes. It was likely that little Gio's spiritual pet was also a foodie. Forget it. It's getting late. You can go and rest after eating. Come and look for me in the study tomorrow. Yun Xiaotian waved his hand. After bidding farewell to everyone, Yun Chujo brought Little Black back to her courtyard. Miss, you're back? Where did this crow come from? Chun Yu was only a servant girl and didn't know what had happened previously. Little Black was so angry that he almost fainted. The fire-breathing crow from before was still a demonic bird. But this little girl actually said that I was a crow? Shirka could not bear it, this was too much. Yun Chujo giggled. This isn't a crow, it's a fire-breathing crow. My master gave it to me. Alright, let's serve the food, I'm hungry. Chun Yu looked at Little Black and muttered. It's clearly a crow. It's so black. Yun Chujo also asked Little Black, yes, I haven't had the chance to ask you. Shouldn't the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird have beautiful feathers? Why are your feathers black? Little Black's eyes flashed. How would I know? Are you going to eat or not? I'm starving. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. You little thing, you still want to hide it from her? Sooner or later, it'll make you confess on your own. She and the bird began to eat like a whirlwind, leaving Chun Yu dumbstruck. Needless to say, her own miss was a foodie. How could this new bird be so good at eating? How did such a small body fit so many things in? After she and the bird had their fill, Yoon Chujo took a hot bath and fell asleep soon after lying on the bed. The next morning Yoon Chujo was awakened by a loud noise. Yoon Chujo jumped out of bed in fright. Oh my god, an earthquake! Or did Venus hit Earth? Just as Yoon Chujo was about to escape through the door. Where's the door? The slag on the ground seemed familiar. Wait, what the hell is that thing with a halo at the door? Fuck. A gigolo. It's that damn gigolo again. Could it be that this gigolo was not compatible with her door? Why did he have to smash her door every time? Dee Biming stared at Yoon Chujo with a gloomy face, not saying a word. Fuck. I don't owe you money, who are you pulling a long face for? Get lost. Dee Biming said coldly. Chapter 78. Broken into 108 pieces. Yoon Chujo was furious. Is this gigolo crazy? He smashed her door the moment he arrived, and now he wants her to get lost. Yoon Chujo suppressed her anger and cursed the gigolo more than 100 times before she pointed at herself. Prince Charming, are you talking about me? Black girl, am 80% sure that he's talking about me. Little Black jumped out from under the bed while trembling. Get lost. Dee Biming flung his sleeves and Little Black flew out like a kite with its string cut. Little Black was so scared that it forgot its instinct to fly and crashed into the grass. If it was not for its strong body, it would have been smashed into a meat patty. Oh my, Little Black is dead. Little Black is black-hearted. But this fiend is black-handed. Little Black decided to list Dee Biming as the #1 fiend that could not be provoked. Yoon Chujo heard a loud bang outside and could not help but shrink her neck. The anger in her heart turned into a flattering smile. Prince Charming, please take a seat. Are you thirsty? Can I pour you some tea? Are you hungry? Can I go get you some breakfast? Why don't you sit here and let me massage your shoulders? Why don't you go to bed and catch up on your sleep? Can I sing you a lullaby? Yoon Chujo felt that her moral integrity had been broken into 108 pieces. Dee Biming did not react at all. He only stared at Yoon Chujo coldly. Yoon Chujo's goosebumps were about to rise. Damn it, what was wrong with this pretty boy? What did she do to provoke him again? Crazy. For a full 15 minutes, Dee Biming and Yoon Chujo stood on the spot, staring at each other without saying a word. Yoon Chujo could not hold it in anymore. This pretty boy was a bastard. How could he be so tolerant? That Prince Charming, I don't know what I have done to offend you. This so-called repentance is still a good child. Tell me what I have done wrong. I will change, I will definitely change. Yoon Chujo's small face smiled like a flower. All that was missing was a tail wagging behind her. Dee Biming did not know why he was angry. After receiving Enfeng's message last night, he felt very annoyed. This black girl was simply too daring. She actually played tricks in front of so many experts. She was simply courting death. Dee Biming felt that he must have been afraid that the black thing would kill him. He could not cure the cold poison. Yes, that must be the case. What's so good about this black crow? Not only is it ugly, it's also a useless trash. Dee Biming waved his hand, and the sad little black bird was brought back into the house by Dee Biming. It fell in front of Yoon Chujo with a crash. Yoon Chujo was confused. She did not know what Dee Biming meant, so she said tentatively, Prince Charming, although Little Black is not good-looking, it can spit fire and speak human language. I heard that it's a 9-colored immortal vermilion bird. Little Black was so angry that it was about to die. You stupid woman, you've revealed your true colors. Aren't you afraid that he will kill people and steal the bird? Yoon Chujo glared at Little Black. How could Little Black not see through us? He might as well say it himself. Dee Biming raised his eyebrows. Didn't you tell others that this is a fire-breathing crow? Prince Charming, can others be like you? What's mine is yours. If you want Little Black, I will give it to you immediately. Yoon Chujo lifted Little Black's short wings and passed it to Dee Biming in a flattering manner. Dee Biming suddenly felt that the sky was blue and the clouds were white. The irritation in his heart was swept away and the corners of his mouth curled up. You can keep this useless thing for yourself. Although it might not be a 9-colored immortal vermilion bird, it should be better than a fire-breathing crow. Chapter 79. Low-key luxury has its own meaning. Little Black was furious. Why am I useless? Although I am not a 9-colored immortal vermilion bird, I am, when the time comes I will blind your snobbish eyes. Prince Charming, since you don't want it, then I will keep it. Yun Chujo saw that Biming had finally calmed down and let out a sigh of relief. Why was this pretty boy's character like that of a donkey? She really wanted to strangle him to death. Biming nodded slightly, and then looked at Little Black coldly. If you dare to betray the black thing, what kind of petty tricks are you playing? I won't forgive you. Little Black immediately said obsequiously, Prince Charming, I'll remember it. I'll do whatever you say. Prince Charming, did you call him? Get lost. Biming flicked his sleeve, and the miserable Little Black was thrown out again. Fortunately, he did not forget to flap his little wings this time, so he did not fall to the ground. Little Black found a tree branch and landed on it. It was so angry that her hair was standing on end. Do you think I'm willing to call you Prince Charming? Pooey, you're not even as handsome as me. My black hair is so low-key luxurious and profound. However, how could the black girl know this jinx? The atmosphere in the room eased up a little. Yun Chujo quickly said, Prince Charming, you haven't had breakfast yet, right? I'll ask Chunyu to bring you breakfast. By the way, you didn't do anything to my little servant girl, right? Biming snorted in disdain and took a few steps forward. Yun Sikujyu subconsciously took a few steps back. Biming frowned. Why are you hiding? Yun Chujo laughed dryly. Prince Charming, I'm not hiding. I'm just afraid of blocking your path. The anger that Biming had just suppressed suddenly flared up again. When Yun Chujo saw that the situation was not good, she quickly took small steps forward. Prince Charming, I'm really not hiding from you. You're not some wild beast, why would I hide from you? Look, I'm here by myself. Biming looked at Yun Chujo, who was smiling with admiration. He felt a little better. Why did he feel that the black girl seemed to be a little whiter? Come here. Biming walked to the bedside and said to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo quickly walked over and asked, My idol, what are your orders? Undress. Biming said as he stretched out his arm. Yun Chujo quickly covered her small chest and said shyly, My Prince Charming, am still young. Biming's eyes twitched. With your black bean sprout body, I'm not interested. I want to sleep. Undress me, don't dawdle. Yun Chujo finally reacted. 10,000 years of thick skin could not help but blush. She laughed dryly and went up to him. So it's to help my Prince Charming undress. Yun Chujo came over and carefully helped Biming undress. It was really strange. Back then it was quite easy to undress a gigolo. Why did it take so much effort this time? Why was this damn belt getting tighter and tighter? Biming watched as Yun Chujo lowered her head and seriously undressed. Then she smelled a faint fragrance and a suspicious blush appeared on his face. This feeling was very strange. People always instinctively resisted things that could not be controlled. Biming rudely pushed Yun Chujo away. What a loser! You can't even take off your clothes. Yun Chujo was pushed so hard that she almost rolled her eyes. Gigolo, just you wait. If I don't torture you 800 times in the future, her name will not be Yun Chujo. Biming felt a little regretful after pushing her. He took off his coat, then took off his boots and lay on the bed. He coughed dryly and said in a benevolent manner, Black thing, didn't you want to sing a lullaby for this venerable one? Come over. This venerable one has agreed. Chapter 80. She must have fallen in love with me. Yun Chujia's heart was like 10,000 divine beasts whizzing past her. Pretty boy, look at what you're trying to say. I'm singing a lullaby for you, and I still have to be grateful to you. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. Pretty boy, very good. Today I'll let you witness my singing voice. Yun Chujo had a grateful look on her face. Prince Charming, since you're so kind to let me sing, then I'll sing. Please close your eyes and listen. Soon you'll be able to fall asleep. Biming closed his eyes as expected. After traveling for a whole night, he was indeed very tired. As soon as he closed his eyes, he was slightly sleepy. Yun Chujo smiled slyly and then sang cheerfully, The vast horizon is my love. Flowers are blooming at the foot of the green mountain. What kind of rhythm is the most swing, and what kind of singing is the most joyful? Yun Chujo was so excited that she even started to twist. You are the most beautiful cloud in the horizon. Let me keep you with my heart. Beiming was so angry. Is this a lullaby? Change it, okay, I'll sing you a quiet song. Please close your eyes. This song will satisfy you. Yun Chujo said ingratiatingly. Beiming snorted and closed his eyes. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes, then stretched her neck and started to howl. Even if I die, I still want to love. If I don't express my feelings thoroughly, I won't be happy. This is the only way to express my feelings. Even if I die, I still want to love. Beiming was so shocked that he almost jumped up from the bed, let alone sleeping. Shut up. Is this a lullaby? Yun Chujo pouted, feeling wrong. Prince Charming, I only know these 2 songs. If you don't like it, then I won't sing. Beiming glanced at Yun Chujo. Black thing, if you dare to lie to me, Ichimi. Get out. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. I lied to you. It would be better if you were angered to death. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart, but she wore a smiling expression on her face. All right, my idol, I'll get out of here nicely. Have a good rest. The corners of Beiming's mouth curled up and he closed his eyes. Even if he died, he still wanted to love her? How deep was their relationship? Was this the only way for her to confess her love? It seemed that Black Thing really loved him to death. She was using her singing voice to confess her love to him. Although Black Thing was a little younger, a little darker, her spiritual power was a little lower, and she was a little stupid when she did things, but she wasn't that annoying. Yun Chujo walked to the outside and saw that poor Chun Yu had fainted on the ground just like the last time. She did not know if it was due to fear or because the gigolo had knocked her out. Yun Chujo sighed slightly. It was better to let Chun Yu continue to sleep. The gigolo had a temperamental personality. He did not want to accidentally kill the little girl. Yun Chujo tapped Chun Ye's sleeping point and supported her on the couch in the outer room before she left the house. Your subordinate, and Feng, pays his respects to Miss Jiu. Your subordinate, and Yin, pays his respects to Miss Jiu. And Feng and Yin bowed to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo's eyes flashed. How did Lord D know about Little Black? And Feng quickly said, to be honest, we have spies among those who went to fight for the 9-colored immortal vermilion bird. That man in black was also disguised by our people to let Miss Jiu get away. Yun Chujo thought for a moment and believed in Feng's words. After all, the timing of the man in black's appearance was too coincidental. If it was a gigolo who disguised himself, it would make sense. After all, they were all very powerful. Oh, then why did they help me? Yun Chujo stared at Enfeng and asked. Enfeng's heart tightened. Miss Jiu, although our Lord didn't tell us, in our heart, you are our Lord's lady. We naturally have to protect you. Chapter 81. Found a treasure. Yun Chujo stared at Enfeng for a while. Seeing that there was nothing unusual about Enfeng, she changed the topic. I'll go get breakfast. You guys guard the courtyard. Miss Jiu, don't worry. Enfeng secretly let out a sigh of relief. This black girl's aura was so scary. Fortunately, I had already made up an excuse. Yun Chujo hopped out of the courtyard and came back with breakfast. As soon as the breakfast was set, Little Black flew onto the stone table. It smells so good. It smells so good. This young master has been hungry for a long time. Little Black had already broken the jar. Anyway, these 2 guards were also people of Shaxing. Sooner or later, they would have to know the identity of this young master. Enfeng and Yin were shocked. You can talk? Little Black proudly raised his neck. TSK. This young master knows a lot. What is this? Enfeng looked at Little Black and smiled contemptuously. You? You probably can't even defeat an adult fire-breathing crow, right? Only Miss Jiu is kind enough to take you in. Otherwise, who would want you? Little Black rolled his bean-like eyes, but he did not choke. Instead, he turned his anger into appetite and buried his head in his food. Yun Chujo could not help but feel surprised. Why did Little Black change his character? It was really strange. The 3 people and a bird swept up Remnant Cloud and finished their breakfast. Enfeng let out a burp and suddenly spat out a purple fireball at Enfeng. Enfeng was not on guard, but his cultivation was high after all. He jumped up and dodged Little Black's fireball. You black-hearted person. How dare you scold this young master? I'll burn you to death. Little Black spat out a fireball as he cursed. Enfeng cried out in shock, purple fireball? Heavens, Miss Jo, you've picked up a treasure. When Yun Chujo heard the words picked up a treasure, she immediately perked up and hurriedly stopped the little black bird. And Feng, what do you mean? Miss Jo, ordinary spirit beasts can only use their innate abilities after they are at least 1 year old. Little Black has only broken through the shell for a day, and you can already use magic. It's obviously unusual. Besides, what it spat out was a purple fireball. Do you know what this means? Yun Chujia's eyes were sparkling. What does it mean? This means that the fireball it spat out contains the power of lightning. Both demonic beasts and spiritual beasts are born with the fear of the power of lightning. Therefore, in future battles, your spiritual pet can fight above its level. Moreover, as its level increases, its advantage will become more and more obvious. Although Yun Chujia's heart was bubbling with joy, she said, I thought it was something amazing. Isn't it just the power of lightning? I also have it. What's the big deal? It's really strange. And Feng touched his nose. Well, this guy in front of him was also a weirdo. He couldn't even be killed by lightning. This man and bird were really a perfect match. Little Black flew to the tree branch and said proudly, now you know how powerful I am, right? If you provoke me again, I will burn you to death. And Feng was about to say something when a cold snort came from inside the house. Noisy. Little Black was so scared that he almost fell from the tree. It's over, the Jinx is going to get angry. Immediately, the three of them and the bird didn't dare to make a sound. Yun Chujo secretly thought, fuck, this gigolo is really awesome. When can I be so imposing? Thinking back, he was also a fair, rich, and beautiful woman who could call the wind and summon the rain. How did he end up being an idiot who relied on flattery to survive? No way. She wanted to become stronger. Regardless of whether it was to protect the Yun family or for herself, she had to become stronger. Yun Chujo secretly touched the plate that Elder Sun gave her. The Spirit Radiance Sect? Yes, Spirit Radiance Sect. No matter what, she had to enter Spirit Radiance Sect to cultivate. Even in his dreams, Di Biming would never have thought that Yun Chujo would make such a big decision just by saying the word noisy. By the time he found out, Yun Chujo had already run away. Chapter 82. Where are the tea eggs? Just as Yun Chujia's thoughts were running wild, and Feng whispered, Miss Jo, someone is here. Yun Chujo frowned. Who was it? There was a dangerous person lying in her room. Yun Chujo quickly went to the door and looked up. It was Housekeeper Ji. Miss Jo, the master wants you to go to the study. Housekeeper Ji bowed and said respectfully, Okay. I'll be there soon. Yun Chujo sent Housekeeper Ji away and returned to the courtyard. And Feng and Yin, I need to go to grandfather's study room. The two of you guard the courtyard well. Don't let anyone in and don't give me any trouble. And Feng and Yin nodded in agreement. Little Black obediently said in its consciousness, Little Black girl, don't worry. I'll keep an eye on them. And you're getting more and more sensible. I'll add a drumstick for you for lunch. Yun Chujo hopped into Yun Xiaoshan's study. Grandfather, I'm here. Tell me what happened yesterday? Yun Xiaoshan's eyes were bloodshot. It was obvious that he did not sleep well last night. Yun Chujo could not help but feel a little guilty. However, the more she knew about some things, the more worried her grandfather would be. Thus she said casually, Grandfather, what I said yesterday was true. After Elder Su met my master, he was so scared that he peed his pants. My master said that he didn't have much time to teach me, and he even gave me a token to go to the Spirit Radiance Sect. Yun Chujo took out the token Elder Sun gave her and handed it to Yun Xiaotun. Spirit Radiance Sect? Is it one of the 4 great sects, the Spirit Radiance Sect? Yun Xiaotian couldn't believe his ears as he took the token while trembling. Yun Xiaotian looked at the token several times. Although he had never seen it before, the token looked extraordinary. It should be real. Ha ha ha. Yun Xiaotun suddenly threw his head back and laughed. Yun Chujo was shocked. Oh my god, is my cheap grandfather crazy? Good. Very good. Little Jiu. Since you are so promising, Zhangqing and Biyun should rest in peace. Yun Xiaotian was happy, but his eyes were red. Grandfather, you are too easy to satisfy. I will be more promising in the future. Yun family will get better and better. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Good. Good. Yun Xiaotian did not know how to express his excitement other than saying yes. Yun Chujo was thinking about the demon who was sleeping in her room. After saying a few more words, she said, "Grandfather, then I will go back first. I am not in a hurry to go to the Spirit Radiance sect anyway." Yun Xiaotian naturally agreed to Yun Chujo no matter how he looked at her. Yun Chujo hurriedly returned to the courtyard. Before she reached the courtyard, she saw the little black bird fly out. "Black girl, the demon has woken up. He's looking for you." Yun Chujo entered the courtyard. And Feng came up to her with an anxious expression. "Miss Jo, hurry up and go in. The Lord is already impatient." Yun Chujo was extremely depressed. Could it be that this damn gigolo was still angry when he woke up? "Idol, you're up?" Yun Chujo ran into the house. Di Biming sat on the chair with a depressed look on his face. "Where did you go?" I went to grandfather's study just now and explained what happened yesterday." Yun Chujo felt that the scene in front of her was a little strange. Why did it look like her husband interrogating his cheating wife? "Yes, I'm hungry. Prepare the food." Yun Chujo was like a hard-working bee. She arranged the breakfast in the food box and said politely, "Prince Charming, please have your meal." Di Biming glanced at her and asked with dissatisfaction, "Why are there no tea eggs? By the way, what did you mean by giving me a tea egg last time?" Yun Chujo stumbled. What did she mean by giving him a tea egg? Did she want to tell the gigolo that it was a bastard? Oh my, she really dug herself a big hole. Chapter 83. The pretty boy turned into a fried chicken seeing that Yun Chujo did not reply for a long time. Di Biming's face darkened. "Didn't you hear my question? Or are you giving me the tea egg because you have bad intentions?" Yun Chujo could not find any good reason and laughed dryly. "Speak. What does the tea egg mean?" Di Biming thought of the tea egg that he had eaten for a few days and could not help but become angry out of embarrassment. His face was so gloomy that it was scary. Yun Chujo was about to cry. At that time, she just wanted to have a good time. Who would have thought that this gigolo would have such a good memory? Tea eggs, tea eggs. Tea eggs were made from eggs. The eggs were laid by chickens. Wait, I got it. Yun Chujia's small face turned red. She grabbed the corner of her clothes and said shyly, "Prince Charming. Actually, am embarrassed to say it." Di Biming raised his eyebrows. "Say it. An egg is the crystallization of the love between a rooster and a hen. I'm my Prince Charming, you know it." Yun Chujo lowered her head and her small body trembled. Di Biming was stunned for a moment, and then his face turned red. He coughed dryly. "You're still young and don't know how to learn. Go out." Yun Chujo covered her face and ran out. She squatted on the ground and laughed until her stomach hurt. Damn, she could be really shameless in order to survive. Di Biming finished his breakfast and called Yun Chujo to clean up. "Tell me everything that happened yesterday." Di Biming leaned on the chair. "Yesterday, I went to the Demon Beast Forest with my brothers and sisters, and then I met the Bai siblings." Yun Chujo told him everything, but she subconsciously hid the matter about the token. "Bai family? Drifting Cloud sect? These scum made you so miserable? They're really useless." Di Biming glanced at Yun Chujo with disdain. "Prince Charming, I've only cultivated for a few days, okay? When I can release the power of lightning, it'll torture them to death." Yun Chujo straightened her small body unwillingly. Only at the 4th level of spirit enhancement can release the power of lightning. I see how long it will take you to break through to the 4th level." Di Biming's contemptuous tone was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Yun Chujo was already very angry today, but now that she heard Di Biming say this, she subconsciously used the cultivation technique from Thousand Illusions of Lightning and raised her hand. A bolt of lightning struck towards Di Biming. The distance between the two was extremely close and Di Biming was caught off guard. Even though Di Biming hurriedly dodged more than half of the attack, he was still struck by the lightning in his hair. A burnt smell filled the room. And Feng and An, who heard the commotion outside, were shocked. "Lord Di, what happened? Get lost." Di Biming roared through gritted teeth. And Feng and An looked at each other. Although they were worried, they did not dare to enter the room to check. "Black thing. Good. Very good. You used the cultivation technique that I gave you to strike me. You are really good. Di Biming took out a mirror from his storage ring and looked at it. He was about to go mad. Yun Chuzhou looked at the pretty boy who had turned into an angry chicken. It was not easy for her to hold back her laughter. In fact, in her heart, Yun Chuzhou was rolling on the ground with laughter. She wished that En Feng and En Yin who were outside could also see the pretty boy's pathetic state. However, the focus of this guy's gaze was now on Di Biming's storage ring. Oh, this treasure is good. Could it be the legendary storage ring? Awesome, the storage bag is rare enough. I did not expect the gigolo to have a storage ring. Strange, last time when she stripped his clothes did not see this ring. Chapter 84 Storage Ring. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up as she looked at the storage ring on Di Biming's finger. She secretly thought that the gigolo must have put a lot of good things in it. The gigolo was really rich. It would be great if she had a storage ring. Even if she had a storage bag. It was said that that thing could keep warm and fresh. It was even more awesome than a refrigerator. If he had a storage bag, wouldn't he be able to eat fresh fruits and food at any time? Di Biming saw that Yun Chuzhou did not show any reaction after getting into trouble. He was even more annoyed. Black thing. Are you mute? Ah. Idol, didn't you say that only those at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm could release their spiritual power? I just wanted to test it out. Who would have thought that I would really create a bolt of lightning? Idol, you are knowledgeable and knowledgeable. What is going on with me? Yun Chuzhou asked flatteringly. She secretly led the rhythm astray. Di Biming frowned. Yes, the black thing was only at the 1st level of the spirit enhancement realm. How did she release her spiritual power? My Prince Charming, also, those old guys can't see that I have spiritual power. What's going on? Yun Chuzhou saw that Di Biming's attention was indeed diverted, so she quickly added fuel to the fire. Only then did Di Biming realize that he had a preconceived idea. If he didn't know beforehand that the black thing could absorb the power of lightning, he really couldn't see that the black thing had spiritual power. How could the things that happened to the black thing be so strange? Prince Charming? Prince Charming? Yun Chuzhou saw that Di Biming did not speak for a long time, so she could only call out tentatively. Di Biming smelled the burnt smell of his hair and raised his eyebrows. Well, your situation is a bit special, I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Yun Chujia's little heart was raised. I'm afraid your life is in danger. Black thing, you have to report your situation to me at any time. Otherwise, I won't be able to save you. Do you understand? Yun Chuzhou immediately nodded. Yes. Yes. Prince Charming, I'll listen to you. Prince Charming, then I won't live long, right? Sob, I'm only 14. I'm still a flower bud that hasn't bloomed yet. I don't want to die. Sob. Yun Chuzhou started to cry half-truthfully. Her tears fell one after another. She looked so pitiful. Di Biming originally wanted to scare Yun Chuzhou, but when he saw Yun Chuzhou crying, his heart inexplicably trembled. He shouted helplessly, "What are you crying for? Don't you still have me? With me here you won't die. Sob male god, you're such a good person. I love you to death." Yun Chuzhou pounced in front of Di Biming and hugged Di Biming's waist, sobbing. Di Biming's body instantly stiffened, and he could only say incoherently, okay, stop crying, you won't die. The scourge lives for 1,000 years, you can live for 10,000 years. Yun Chuzhou secretly gritted her teeth. You are the fucking scourge. You are the 10,000-year-old turtle. Yun Chuzhou secretly wiped her tears and snot on Di Biming's spotless white clothes. After Yun Chuzhou had done her bad deed, she rubbed her eyes and said pitifully, "My idol, my life will be in your hands from now on. How am I going to cultivate now? Everything will be the same as before." Di Biming stared at the suspicious water stains on his clothes and could not help but feel uncomfortable. Prepare the bath water. I want to bathe. Yun Chuzhou also knew the reason to stop when the time was right. She said obediently, all right, my idol. I will go get the bath water now. I promise to let you bathe until you smell good. Without waiting for Di Biming to speak, Yun Chuzhou quickly ran out. Chapter 85. I was just drawing for fun, Miss Zhou. What happened just now? Seeing Yun Chuzhou come out, En Feng quickly came up and asked in a low voice. Nothing happened. Your Majesty wants to take a bath. I'll find someone to get the bath water. You guys hide well. Yun Chujo hopped around and arranged for a few rough women to carry a few buckets of hot water to the entrance of the courtyard. And Feng, Anin, you two help me carry the hot buckets into the house. Yun Chujo waited for the servants to leave before she called An Feng and Anin to help carry the hot buckets. An Feng gave Anin a look. The two of them carried the buckets to the entrance of the house and did not walk in. Miss Jo, you can do the rest yourself. How heartless. This hot water bucket is really heavy. Yun Chujo carried a hot water bucket and walked into the house while muttering to herself. It's really useless. Di Biming waved his hand, and a few hot water buckets floated into the house by themselves. Yun Chujia's eyes sparkled. Idol, you're too amazing. I really admire you too much. Although Di Biming did not say anything, he was clearly in a good mood and decided to temporarily forgive Yun Chujo for the mistake of burning his hair. I'm going to take a bath, you can leave now. Di Biming waved his sleeve like he was chasing away a fly. Yun Chujo slipped out of the house and curled her lips in disdain. You want to chase her out? Do you think I care about you? I've seen your clothes when I stripped you back then. What's so great about taking off your clothes? Yun Chujo recalled the scene from back then, and her face couldn't help but turn slightly red. Yun Chujo crouched under the window in a wretched manner, using a tree branch to write and draw on the ground. Little black girl, what are you drawing? Xiao Hanyo flew to Yun Chujia's shoulder and asked curiously. Yun Chujo scratched with her hand guiltily. Nothing, I'm just drawing for fun. I think I see a person. Xiao Hanyo's pizzazed eyes shot out a strong light of gossip. And Feng and Anin were too embarrassed to come over to take a look, but they were thinking in their hearts that the black girl must be secretly drawing their revered one. The black girl really adored their revered one. Yun Chujo was indeed drawing Di Biming, but it was Di Biming who was not wearing clothes. An hour later, Di Biming's voice came from inside the room. Black thing, am done washing. Yun Chujo secretly thought what a gigolo he actually washed for such a long time. Yun Chujo silently cursed as she entered the house. When she looked up, she was stunned. Too damn handsome. How could he look so good? It turned out that Di Biming found that only the roots of his hair were not burnt, so he cut off the burnt parts. The messy short hair made Di Biming look even more unruly and handsome. Di Biming was slightly embarrassed by Yun Chujia's infatuated gaze, but he was very proud in his heart. He coughed dryly and said, I'm warning you not to covet me. Wipe your saliva. Yun Chujo subconsciously wiped her saliva with her hand, but there was nothing in the end. Only then did she realize that she had been tricked. However, this guy was very thick-skinned. He naturally put down his hand and said, Prince Charming, am not covet your beauty. Am admiring it. Everyone has a heart for beauty. Di Biming was in a good mood and did not argue. I still have things to do. Cultivate well and I'll check your progress in a few days. If you're lazy, Yun Chujo could not wait for Di Biming to leave. Prince Charming, do your thing. I'll definitely cultivate well and reach the second level of spirit enhancement as soon as possible. I won't let you down. Okay. Di Biming nodded in satisfaction. Oh right, my Prince Charming, why do you always smash my door every time you come? I am not worried about the door. I am just afraid that your hand will hurt. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes and asked in confusion. Chapter 86, Save Yourself the Trouble. Di Biming said as he walked out. Yun Chujo was so angry that she glared at him. You saved yourself the trouble. She still had to find housekeeper Ji and men. And Feng and Anin were dumbfounded when they saw Di Biming's new look. Why did your excellency's hair become shorter after sleeping in Miss Zhou's room? What's going on? Anin was fine, but Feng felt like a cat was scratching his heart. He could not help but ask, Your Excellency, your hair? Di Biming glanced at Feng coldly. Cool. Do you have any objections? Feng shrunk his neck and sneaked back to the Yun residence. He hid himself carefully. The black girl was already very vigilant, but now that Xiao Hanyo was here, it was even more difficult to hide. It seemed that he had to stay further away from the courtyard. At this moment, Yun Chujo was jumping up and down and scolding Di Biming, damn gigolo. You just left like that. You left me a lot of trouble. Xiao He. Burn the stray hairs on the ground. Yun Chujo pointed fiercely at the hair that Di Biming had cut off. Xiao Hanyo, why are Shaoxing's hair all burnt? Who did it? Xiao Hanyo was shocked. Someone actually dared to touch the soil on his head? He was really tired of living. Yun Chujo straightened her small body. Of course I'm your master. Xiao Hei, am warning you, call me master from now on. If you call me little black girl again, I'll chop you into a roasted chicken. Xiao Hanyo looked at Yun Chujo suspiciously. Then he hugged his wings and laughed. Ayo, little black girl, don't tease me. You? If you have the ability, chop me. Besides, I love being struck by lightning the most. That thing is a great tonic for me. Yun Chujo then remembered that this little pervert in front of her was the same as her. Not only was he not afraid of being struck by lightning, but he also liked being struck by lightning. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. As you wish. Anyway, you don't have to eat lunch. The little black bird rolled its eyes and immediately said in a flattering manner, Dear master, I was joking with you just now. In Xiao Hanyo's heart, master, you are the most beautiful, and the most powerful. Yun Chujo pursed her lips and did not say anything. Xiao Hanyo immediately continued, Dear master, I will now deal with the mess left behind by the gigolo. That gigolo looks like a sissy, bathing and changing in broad daylight. How disgusting. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. Yes, listening to people, listening to birds scold the gigolo, it felt really good. So she looked at Xiao Hanyo with encouragement. Xiao Hanyo immediately understood. He pulled his neck and started to scold. Look at that gigolo's arrogance. When the time comes, you will strike with lightning, and I will burn with fireballs, making that gigolo kneel at our feet and cry bitterly, regretting not having done it in the past. Yes, you are worthy of being taught. I will give you more food for lunch. Yun Chujo listened to the angry scolding of the Xiao Hanyo. Her heart was extremely comfortable, and her face was smiling like a flower. Master, you are so great. Master, you are the best master in the world. I love you. Xiao Hanyo did not even care about the face of a bird in order to eat. Just when the Xiao Hanyo was about to burn Di Biming's broken hair, Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and picked up a strand. She wrapped it up with the handkerchief that Di Biming threw away last time and put it away. Master, what do you want the pretty boy's hair for? I'll keep it for now. Maybe one day I'll learn a curse spell or something. I'll curse the pretty boy to death. Xiao Hanyo could not help but shiver. The black girl is indeed a black-hearted person. I must not offend her in the future. Yun Chujo spent a long time and finally cleaned up the house. Only then did she unlock Chunye's acupoints. The little girl was easy to fool. Yun Chujo managed to fool her with only a few half-truths. However, the door was gone again. How was she going to tell her grandfather? After lunch, Yun Chujo braced herself and went to look for Yun Xiaotun. Grandfather, my master came just now. He took 2 things from our house. Don't you feel sorry for him? You child. Not to mention 2 things, even 10 or 100 things should be taken. By the way, what did your master take? Well, it's nothing. He only took 2 doors. Yun Xiaotian. Chapter 87, The World's Oddities. Long grass in the Dantian. Yun Chujo came back from Yun Xiaoshan's place and picked up lunch while she was at it. She specially ordered a roast chicken for the little black bird. After lunch, Yun Chujo sat cross-legged on the bed. She suddenly remembered the abnormality in her dantian, so she began to look inside. If anyone else could see Yun Chujia's dantian, their eyeballs would definitely fall out of their sockets. Yun Chujia's dantian was filled with small purple lightning bolts, and from time to time, there would be a few crackling sounds. Why was there a green bud in the middle of the purple? The bud seemed to have sensed Yun Chujia's gaze and even shook it proudly. Yun Chujo was simply angered to death. What the hell was this thing? Was there grass growing in her dantian? Just as Yun Chujo was about to take a closer look, an intense dizziness came over, and she had no choice but to withdraw her spiritual sense. With a sad face, Yun Chujo called Xiao Hanyo into the house. Xiao Hei, I'm 80% sure that I'm going to die. You're going to be free. Xiao Hanyo's eyes lit up. Really? Yun Chujo grabbed Xiao Hanyo's short wings. Good. You little heartless one. You can't wait for me to die, can you? Master, dear master, you've misunderstood. Misunderstood? I'm just very surprised. What's wrong with you? Xiao Hanyo quickly changed to a worried tone. There's a grass growing in my dana. Yun Chujo released Xiao Hanyo and said sadly. Ha ha ha. There's a grass growing in my dantian? Master, are you talking nonsense? Xiao Hanyo rolled on the ground with a smile. Yun Chujo was absolutely furious. You're such a good bird, but you actually learned to roll like a puppy. Are you trying to anger me? Get out. Yun Chujo kicked Xiao Hanyo away. Wha? Xiao Hanyo flew onto the tree branch and cried out angrily. This black girl and pretty boy were both black-hearted people. It was simply infuriating. Yun Chujo sat on the bed dejectedly. The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. Woo-woo, what should she do? The grass grew bigger and bigger. Would she end up as the worm of the Cordyceps sinensis? Yun Chujo cherished her life the most. She did not take Di Biming's words to heart, but the long grass in her dantian was definitely not a good thing. Yun Chujo could not help but recall the memories of the original owner. Her adoptive mother had once told her that when she caught Zhou, it was a seed. Fuck. Could it be this seed? Thinking of this, Yun Chujo scattered her seed and ran towards Yun Xiaoshan's study. Yun Chujo arrived at the study's door and blinked her eyes. After thinking of an excuse, she walked in. Little Jiu? Didn't you say that you wanted to cultivate? Why are you here again? Yun Xiaotian asked in puzzlement. Grandfather, I had a dream when I was taking a nap. I dreamed that there was a grass growing in my dantian. Don't you think it's strange? Haha. You child, dreams are always strange and bizarre. What's so strange about that? Are you here to tell grandfather that you had a dream? Yun Xiaotian patted Yun Chujia's little head, and thought to himself that little Zhou was really a child. Yes. Grandfather, my mother told me that when I grabbed Zhou, I grabbed a seed. What kind of seed was it? Yun Xiaotian thought for a moment. The thing that caught Zhou was prepared by your mother. It seemed to be a black shiny seed. I've never seen it before. Oh right, you didn't let go of the seed after that. Your mother was afraid that you would swallow it, so she wanted to put it away but she couldn't find it. However, everyone was staring at you at that time. They knew that you didn't swallow the seed, so they didn't mind. It was just a seed. If it was gone, it would be gone. Yun Chujo wanted to cry but had no tears. Grandfather, I didn't swallow the seed. It's growing in my dantian. I might as well swallow it. Chapter 88. They must still be alive, Xiaojiu. What happened to you? Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but worry when he saw Yun Chujia's sad face. Grandfather, it's nothing. I just miss mother a little. Oh right, grandfather. Why have I never heard mother mention grandfather's house? Yun Chujo asked Yun Xiaotian curiously. Yun Xiaotian frowned slightly, he sighed. All right. You have grown up. It's not impossible for you to know some things. Your mother was brought back by your father when he went out for training. At that time, your mother was seriously injured and lost her memory after she recovered. Later on, she developed feelings for your father over time, so I made the decision to let the two of them get married. Then, has my mother never recovered her memory? Yun Chujo raised her eyebrows slightly. She did not expect that her mother's background was still somewhat complicated. She hasn't. However, I can see that your mother's background is quite high. Unfortunately, our Yun family is too weak, so we haven't been able to find any clues. Grandfather, how did my father and mother get into trouble? When Yun Zhongqing and Lin Biyun got into trouble, their original bodies were still young, so this part of their memories was very vague. That year, your father and your mother wanted to go to the place where they met to see if there were any clues about your mother's background. They didn't expect that there would be no news after they went there. I personally brought people to look for her, but they found nothing. Later, by chance, I found the jade pendant that your father always wore in a shop. It wasn't easy to find the cultivator who sold the jade pendant back then. That person said that when he found the jade pendant, it was covered in dried blood. There were also some broken strips of cloth on the branches, which were also stained with blood. At the beginning, I still had hope and kept sending people to inquire about it, but there was no news of them. Sigh, I can only accept the fact that they have passed away. Yun Xiaotian thought of his youngest son and could not help but cry. Grandfather, as the saying goes, if you live, you must see the person, if you die, you must see the corpse. My father and mother must still be alive. When I am powerful, I will definitely bring them back. When they come back, you will teach them a good lesson. Yun Chujo puffed her cheeks angrily. Yun Xiaotian was interrupted by her, and his sadness dissipated a little. Sai grandfather has already thought it through. As long as you and the Yun family are well, it's better than anything. Grandfather, don't worry. I will work hard to cultivate and revitalize our Yun family. Yun Chujo waved her small fists, and her eyes shone with determination. Yun Xiaotian was very pleased. The grandfather and grandson chatted for a while more before Yun Chujo hopped away. Yun Chujia's head drooped the moment she left Yun Xiaoshan's courtyard. Sigh. She was still trying to revitalize the Yun family. She might become the nourishment of that grass. This fellow was very worried. He had only eaten a tiny bit of dinner and had not slept for the entire night. How could he get rid of that damn grass? Using a knife? That was obviously impossible. The knife could not enter his dantian. Burn it with fire? Fuck. That abnormal grass was not even afraid of lightning. Why would it be afraid of fire? Freeze it to death? If it did not freeze to death, she would have to become an ice sculpture first. Drink some poison? Fuck, if that grass did not die, she would die first. Early the next morning, Yun Chujo washed up briefly and then sat on the chair in a daze. Chunyu came back with breakfast. Yun Chujo smelled the fragrance and her stomach began to growl. This guy gritted his teeth, damn it. Whatever, I'll live one day at a time. I don't believe I can't handle a blade of grass. I'll talk after I'm full. Miss, why are you turning white? Chunyu exclaimed. Chapter 89 was just a drop in the bucket. Yun Chujo was pleasantly surprised and immediately ran in front of the mirror. Chunyu, are you kidding me? Isn't it still so dark? It's like a charcoal ball. Yun Chujo was full of hope, but when she saw herself in the mirror, she was instantly discouraged. Miss, look carefully, it's really a little whiter. You were originally dark, but now it's a little gray. Chunyu explained anxiously. Yun Chujo. Dark and tanned? A little gray? Chunyu, do you know that you won't have any friends if you speak like this? Yun Chujo looked at the mirror carefully. Needless to say, it really became a little whiter. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. It didn't turn white for no reason. Could it be because the seed sprouted? So she became a little whiter? Then could it be that the reason why her original body could not cultivate was also because of the seed? Damn. It must be so. All the good things had been absorbed by the damn seed. That was why she was black and shriveled. Then how did it suddenly sprout? Was this change good or bad? The mysteries were one after another. It was really puzzling. While Yun Chujo was frowning and deep in thought, the little black bird flew to Yun Chujia's shoulder. Master, you smell so good. Smell so good? Nonsense, I didn't bring any sachet or anything. Chunyu, do you smell anything? Chunyu took a sniff honestly. Miss, there's only the smell of acacia. There's no special smell. Xiao Hanyo panicked. It's true, master. There's a kind of... Well, anyway, it makes me feel very comfortable. Yun Chujo pursed her lips. She did not take Xiao Hanyo's words to heart. Xiao He must be trying to please her. After breakfast, Yun Chujo sat in the courtyard in a daze. She had no idea what to do with Xiao Chao and her dantian right now. Perhaps she could find a way to enter the Linghua sect. Elder Sun said that the Spirit Flower sect had to go through a test to recruit laborers. It seemed that she could only work hard on the path of cultivation. Coincidentally, there was a heavy rain that night, and the entire night was filled with lightning and thunder. Yun Chujo, this fellow, held up 2 copper basins and filled the courtyard with lightning strikes. Xiao Hanyo followed suit and stood on top of one of the copper basins, waiting to be struck with joy. Chun Ye's entire body was in a bad state. Oh God, it was fine if the young lady was abnormal, but why was the new bird also a weirdo? Yun Chujo and Xiao Hanyo absorbed the power of thunder and lightning as they wished for the whole night. Both of them were extremely satisfied. Master, I need to digest the power of thunder and lightning that I absorbed, so I need to sleep for a period of time. You have to protect me well. Xiao Hanyo said flatteringly after having a big meal. Yun Chujo nodded. I also need to refine the power of lightning that I absorbed. Yun Chujo greeted Yun Xiaotian and spent the next few days cultivating in her own courtyard. This guy really went all out this time in order to get rid of the grass in his dantian one day earlier. He almost forgot himself. Yun Xiaotian was naturally very happy to see Yun Chujo working so hard. He specially arranged for the big kitchen to send food over on time every day so that Chunyu could always stay by Yun Chujia's side in case anything unexpected happened. At this moment in the same city Bai family, Bai Moru was begging Bai Peng bitterly. "Grandfather, I really can't take this lying down. If it wasn't for that bitch Yun Chujo, Elder Su wouldn't have vented his anger on me and my brother, and I wouldn't have been kicked by Elder Su either. Now we can't even go to the drifting cloud sect. Grandfather, you love me the most. You must help me kill that bitch Yun Chujo." Bai Moyu frowned. Moyu, that Yun Chujia's master, is an elder of the Linghua sect. He seems to be quite famous. If we anger him, our Bai family will be finished. I don't care. Grandfather, you're the best. You must have a way, right? Bai Moru hugged Bai Peng's arm and acted coquettishly. Bai Peng smiled mysteriously. If it was before today, grandfather wouldn't have a way either. After all, the Linghua sect is a large and unattainable sect. But this morning, grandfather received a letter. Not only will you have the chance to personally kill Yun Chujo, you'll also be able to stand out and amaze everyone. Chapter 90. A mysterious letter. By Morris' eyes lit up. Grandfather, who sent you this letter? Bai Moyu also looked at Bai Peng with hope. He hated Yun Chujo to death now. If he wasn't afraid of that elder son, he would have brought people to kill Yun Chujo a long time ago. A good-for-nothing with no spiritual power, killing her was as easy as killing an ant. When I was young, I accidentally saved a person in the demonic beast forest. Speaking of which, it was also a coincidence. At that time, I saw a severely injured golden-spotted red flame tiger. In a moment of greed, I took the risk to kill that tiger. I didn't expect to find a person not far from that tiger. At that time, I was hesitating whether I should kill him to steal the treasure. That person woke up, so I could only pretend to save him. After that person recovered from his injuries in our house, he left a scabbard, saying that he would definitely give him a great reward in the future. So many years had passed, but there was still no news. I didn't expect that just yesterday grandfather received a letter. That person was now an elder of the Linghua sect. Ha ha ha. The heavens are really helping me. Bai Moru exclaimed happily, Grandfather. That's great. Do you want that person to help us kill Yun Chujo? No. That person had a bad temper and was stubborn. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought that I was his savior. I will write a letter to that person. The two of you will bring the scabbard and letter to the Linghua faction. Bai Peng's eyes lit up. Bai Moru was puzzled. Grandfather, why are we going to the Linghua faction? Bai Moyu, on the other hand, understood a little. He asked tentatively, Grandfather, are you planning to let us enter the Linghua sect to cultivate? Bai Peng nodded. That's right. You guys go find that person first to obtain the qualifications for the entrance test. With your qualifications, it will definitely not be a problem for you guys to become servants. After entering the Linghua sect with that person's connections, entering the outer sect is just around the corner. If the opportunity is right, it's not impossible to enter the inner sect. Bai Moru frowned. Grandfather, that Yun Chujia's master is an elder. Then isn't she an inner sect disciple? Then when my brother and I enter the Linghua sect, not to mention killing her, it's more likely that we'll be killed by her. Mo, don't forget we have a huge backer in the Linghua sect. If Yun Chujo dares to touch us, she's simply asking for trouble. Bai Moyu was obviously much smarter than Bai Moru. Bai Peng nodded his head in gratification. That's right. Since that person thinks that grandfather is his savior, he must have taken good care of the two of you. However, that person is very straightforward. Especially Mo, you must listen to your brother. Bai Moru nodded her head. This was great. Linghua sect 8. Su Yenran was already so arrogant after entering the drifting cloud sect. This time she was much stronger than her. If she could find another senior brother with a good family background, then it would be even more perfect. Oh right, grandfather, who exactly is that person? Bai Moyu was also very excited. He had thought that he would be trapped in Yi City, But he had not expected that things would actually take a turn for the better. He is the Linghua sect's West Peak elder Xiao Pancher. After you enter the Linghua sect, don't be in a hurry to kill Yun Chujio. First you need to stabilize your footing before you take things slowly. Do you understand? Take a long-term view. Yun Chujio is just a small pebble on your path of growth. When you guys become stronger, you can take care of her at any time. Bai Mayu and Bai Moru both nodded. At this moment, both of them were in a state of excitement. They felt like they were in a dream. You guys go back and prepare. We'll set off in 3 days. Bai Peng was also quite excited. As long as Mou and Mo Ro entered the Spirit Flower sect, it was only a matter of time before our Bai family rose. Chapter 91. The house was struck by lightning 3 days later. Bai Mayu and Bai Moru happily set off for the Spirit Flower sect. The two of them left the city. Bai Moru looked in the direction of the Yun family and could not help but sneer. Yun Chujio, sooner or later, I will personally kill you. Right at this moment, a purple heavenly lightning descended from the sky, heading in the direction of the Yun family. Ha ha ha! Brother, lightning actually struck on this sunny day. It seems that Yun Chujio has suffered retribution. Bai Moru laughed out loud in excitement. It might be an ordinary dry landmine. Let's go, don't miss the registration date. Bai Moyu looked coldly in the direction of the Yun family. Yun Chujio, if you were to be struck by lightning, it would be too easy for you. At this moment, the Yun family was already in an uproar. Yun Xiaotian heard the commotion and was about to come out to check when housekeeper Ji ran in panic. Master! Master! Not good. A purple heavenly lightning struck Miss Zhou's house. A servant saw it and said that the heavenly lightning was as thick as a child's wrist. Although Yun Xiaotian knew that Yun Chujio had a thunder spirit root, he was still very worried when he heard that the lightning was so thick. He quickly brought housekeeper Ji and rushed to Yun Chujio's courtyard. When they arrived outside Yun Chujio's courtyard, there were many servants surrounding her. Yun Xiaotian was very unhappy. These people did not rush in to save her, but instead they were here to watch the show. This was too much. One of the servants said with a trembling voice, Master, no, it's not that we don't want to go in to save her. We really can't save her. Yun Xiaotian frowned. Can't save her? This is an excuse. Yun Xiaoshan's words came to an abrupt end because he looked in the direction the servant pointed. What he saw stunned him. He saw that Yun Chujio's house had been split open by the heavenly lightning, and the surroundings of the house were full of purple lightning, crackling non-stop. Master, this girl Chun Yu is very clever. She was about to rush in just now, but she was knocked out by the lightning as soon as she got close. The servant pointed at the unconscious Chun Yu and said. Yun Xiaotian was so anxious that his forehead was full of sweat. Fortunately, he knew that Yun Chujio had a thunder spirit root. Perhaps this was her lucky chance, so he could only wait outside the courtyard. An hour later, the small lightning outside the room slowly dissipated. Yun Chujio yawned, stretched and walked out. Little Zhou, are you okay? Yun Xiaotian asked worriedly. I'm fine, I cannot be any better. It's this blind heavenly lightning that destroyed the house, causing me to not sleep well. Yun Chujio. Everyone was so shocked that their jaws almost fell off. Miss Zhou, you've made a mistake, okay? That was heavenly thunder. It was already good enough that you could save your life, but you actually still wanted to sleep. Yun Xiaotian received Yun Chujio's obscure little gaze and coughed dryly a few times. Alright, since there's nothing else, everyone should disperse. Little Zhou, come with me. Yun Chujio hopped into the study room with Yun Xiaotian. Yun Xiaotian closed the door and asked with a slightly trembling voice, Little Zhou, what's going on? Grandfather, ha ha, I've advanced. Am now at the 3rd level of the spirit enhancement realm. Yun Chujio had a smug look on her face. Yun Xiaotian stretched out 3 trembling fingers. Third level? Yun Chujio nodded. Grandfather, have I broken through a little too little? If I hadn't been in a hurry to register at the Linghua sect and cultivate for a period of time before breaking through, I should have been able to reach the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but burst into tears, and then he threw his head back and laughed heartily. Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. It was over. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have been so smug. This time she had scared the crap out of her cheap grandfather. Chapter 92. Confidence. Yoon Xiaotian wiped his tears with his sleeve. Little Joe, you've really done well. Our Yoon family is going to produce a peerless genius. Yoon Chujo straightened her small body and pretended to be modest as she said, Grandfather, what genius? It's only half a month and you've already reached the 3rd level of the spirit refinement realm. Didn't you just advance 2 levels in a short time? This is really nothing. The corners of Yoon Xiaoshan's eyes twitched. Little Joe, are you being modest or are you showing off? Yoon Chujo kept on showing off, only then did she say, Grandfather, I plan to leave for the Linghua sect tomorrow. In addition, I want to bring my brothers and sisters with me. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to let everyone participate in the entrance test with me. Yoon Xiaotian was stunned at first, then he was ecstatic. Little 9, is what you said true? Do you really have a way to make Chu-yi and the others participate in the test as well? Yoon Xiaotian was simply ecstatic. Even if he were to enter the Linghua sect and become a handyman, it would be a leap to the heavens. The entrance test qualification of the Linghua sect was strictly restricted. A small family like the Yoon family, which had neither influence nor connections, simply did not have the qualifications to participate in the test. Cough cough. Grandfather, I'm only saying that it's possible and probable, so you shouldn't have too much hope. Yoon Chujo had thought this through thoroughly. As the saying went, it was difficult to support a single person. No matter how powerful she was alone, she was still alone. It was inevitable that there would be times when she could not take care of them. However, if Yoon Chu and the others became stronger, then naturally, no one in the Yoon family would dare to bully them. Yoon Chujo had always been very confident in herself. As for whether she would be qualified to take the test, that would depend on her improvisation. Good. Even if we can't succeed, it's good to go out and broaden our horizons. I'll hold a family meeting right now to seek their opinions. Olji, hurry up. Inform everyone to hold a family meeting. Those who don't come will bear the consequences. Yoon Chujo looked at Yoon Xiaotian as if he was on steroids and could not help but feel a little guilty. Grandfather, I was just saying that. Actually, I don't have any confidence at all. An hour later, all the members of the Yoon family arrived at the hall. Everyone thought that something big had happened. Even Yoon Chuer, who was fooling around outside, was found by Yoon Xiaobo. Yoon Chushan even thought that Yoon Chujo had been struck to death by heavenly lightning. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Yoon Xiaotian could. Tomorrow, little Joe will rush to the Linghua sect to undergo the entrance test. Hearing this, everyone immediately exploded. Linghua sect. Heavens! No wonder Elder Su was scared away by little Joe's master. Little Joe's master must be very powerful. I knew it. Little Joe's skills are much more agile than before. It turns out that she has the guidance of an expert. That's right. No wonder she was able to subdue Bai Moru in one move. Little Joe really has a deep cover. Yoon Chushan's hands were clenched tightly under her sleeves. She didn't even notice that her nails had pierced into her flesh. What right did she have? How could a good-for-nothing like Yoon Chujo have such a good life? She was obviously a bastard. Yet she enjoyed the treatment of the eldest daughter of the patriarch's mansion. She was clearly a good-for-nothing. Yet she was taken in as a disciple by an expert. Now, she actually obtained the right to take the test of the Linghua faction. It was really too unfair. Yoon Chushan became even more irritated when she heard everyone's compliments. She said softly, Little Joe, although it's a good thing that you got the chance to go to the Linghua faction to take the test, but you don't have the slightest bit of spiritual power. How can you pass the test? Yoon Xiaotian was about to say that Little Joe could cultivate, but Yoon Chujo gave him a look. Then she said with a bitter face, Third sister, what you said makes sense. What do you think we should do? Chapter 93. Fooling Little Lotus. Yoon Chushan's eyes flashed. It wasn't easy to obtain the test qualification of the Linghua faction, so naturally we can't waste it. Why don't we let someone with ability take the test for you? Someone with ability? Then who can do it? Can Big Brother go? Yoon Chujo tugged at the corner of her clothes and said awkwardly. Yoon Chui hurriedly waved his hand. Little Joe, this is your opportunity. How can you let me go? Yoon Chushan quickly said, Little Joe, Big Brother can't do it. You're a girl. The one who should be replacing you should be a girl. Yun Chujo clapped her hands. Third sister, you're really too smart. Then let third sister you. Although Yun Chushan tried her best to hide it, she still couldn't hide her joy. Just as she was about to pretend to decline a few words, she didn't expect Yun Chujo to continue. No, third sister, you're too old. Let fifth sister go instead of me. Yun Chushan almost fainted from anger. Did you do it on purpose? Also, who are you calling old? She's only 17 years old, alright? Yun Chu was only 1 year younger than her. Yun Chu was just about to decline when Yun Chuki poked her. Yun Chu was stunned and didn't say anything. Ever since the incident in the Beast Forest, Yun Chuki and Yun Chushan had completely distanced themselves from each other. Instead, they became closer to Yun Chu. Yun Chujo looked at Yun Chuki with admiration. Aya, this seventh sister was quite smart. Grandfather, it's settled then. Fifth sister will go in my place. I won't go. We're sisters anyway. It's the same no matter who goes. Yun Chujo said to Yun Xiaotian with a smile. Yun Xiaotian was also an old fox. He immediately understood Yun Chuji's intentions. His heart moved. This was also good. It was just the right time to test everyone's thoughts. Alright, if that's the case, then let Chu go. The others did not have any objections. Only Yun Xiaobo was anxious. Big brother. This isn't fair. Why should Chu go on behalf of Yun Chujio? If she wants to go, she has to be orderly. It should be Chushan who goes. Grandfather, don't say anymore. Chu and little Jiu are cousins. There are differences in intimacy. How can I compare with Chu? Yun Chushan was aggrieved like a little white lotus. When Yun Xiaobo heard this, he was indeed anxious. Family head, our Yun family is one. How can you convince the masses by treating us differently? Yun Chuji's eyes narrowed slightly. This second elder was also brainless. It seemed that this fake white lotus was the one who ruined everything. It was a good opportunity to take her away so that she wouldn't get involved at home. Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but smile bitterly. There's a differ. Take this incident as an example. The token was originally little Jio's. I will give it to whoever little Jio says. But little Jio has always been thinking about her brothers and sisters at home. She took the initiative to say that she wanted to bring her brothers and sisters to participate in the test. I did not expect that before I had the time to say it, you and Chushan would do something like this. It really disappointed me to the extreme. Yun Xiaobo was choked to the point of being speechless. His old face turned red as he said embarrassedly, Big brother, I was just being impatient. Little Jiu, yes, little Jiu is indeed a good child. The corner of Yun Chuji's eyes twitched. This second elder was really thick-skinned. No wonder he didn't receive any punishment even after being a demon for so many times. Second elder, elders, brothers and sisters, don't praise me yet. Actually, grandfather's words are not entirely correct. Normally, the token in my hand can only allow me to participate in the test alone. The reason why I brought everyone here is because I'm hoping to get lucky. I want to see if there's a chance when the time comes. Actually, the chances of success are not very high. Yun Chujo was not stupid. Let's put the ugly words first so that we won't have to complain later. Little Jiu, it's good enough that we can go and see the big scene. Don't worry, sixth brother won't blame you if it succeeds or not. That's right. We all have eyes, unlike some people who don't recognize the kindness of others. Yun Chuki was as venomous as ever. Yun Chushan's face flushed red, and she even hated Yun Chuki in her heart. Chapter 94. Write a letter to the gigolo. Everyone in the Yun family liked Yun Chujo 100 times now. They had long forgotten Yun Chuji's previous dark history, and praised Yun Chujo like a flower. Yun Chui had voluntarily stayed behind. Firstly, his talent was limited. Secondly, he was a little old. Thirdly, the family could not afford to not have young people to take care of things. Yun Chuer would not go either. How great would it be in Qi City? There would be food and drinks. Who would go to the Linghua sect? Moreover, even if he went, he would not be chosen. It would be a waste of his suffering. Because Yun Chusher was too young, he could not go together. He pouted and even secretly cried a few times. It was only until Yun Chujo promised several unequal treaties that he broke into a smile. Finally, the candidates were decided. Yun Chushan was 17 years old, Yun Chuzi was 17 years old, Yun Chuu was 16 years old, Yun Chuu was 16 years old, Yun Chulu was 16 years old, Yun Chuki was 15 years old, Yun Chuba was 15 years old, and Yun Chuki was 15 years old. Second level of spirit enhancement. Yun Chujo counted with her fingers. Including herself there were 7 people. Was this the rhythm of gathering 7 Dragon Balls and summoning the divine dragon? Yun Chujo put her hands behind her back and said seriously, although you are brothers and sisters, I have the final say in everything when we go out this time. If you are not convinced, then don't go. Also, among the 7 of us, I am the youngest and the most useless. So you have to take care of me and protect me on the way. Don't complain, be my slave. The members of the Yun family. Could they take back what they had said about this guy? This guy was just a glutton who liked to eat and be lazy. He had to be a good-for-nothing. After the discussion was settled, Yun Xiaotian announced the end of the meeting. He asked the few of them to go home and prepare their luggage, and he left Yun Chujo alone. Little Joe, keep these silver ingots and gold bars. You must be careful on the way. Yun Xiaotian handed Yun Chujo a heavy package. Since the Linghua sect was not in Donghua Nation's territory, the silver notes could not be used. She could only bring more gold and silver on the road. Yun Chujo did not decline. She took the package and chatted with Yun Xiaotian for a while before returning to her courtyard. Housekeeper Ji had already arranged for someone to repair the big hole in the roof. Chunyu had long woken up and was cleaning the house. Chunyu, bring me the silver note box. Chunyu did not understand what he meant. She quickly entered the house and handed the silver note box to Yun Chujo. Chunyu, am going to the Ling. If you're willing to stay in the Yun family, then stay in the Yun family. If you're not willing, then take some silver notes to redeem yourself. Yun Chujo took out 10,000 taels of silver notes and handed them to Chunyu. She put the rest into her pocket. Chunyu was shocked. At first, she was reluctant to part with them, but then she was moved to tears. Miss, I only sold myself for 50 taels of silver. You gave me too much. Besides, I don't have any relatives anymore. I'll stay in the Yun family and guard this courtyard, waiting for you to come back. Yun Chujo was amused. Silly girl, your family's miss. I will definitely enter the Linghua sect this time. When that time comes, I might only be able to come back once every few years. Besides, are you not going to marry? Chunyu blushed. Miss, I'm not leaving the Yun family anyway. All right. You can find a good guy in our Yun family to marry. This money can be used as your dowry. Yun Chujo might be greedy, but she was quite generous to her own people. Chunye's face naturally turned red from embarrassment. She gave an excuse to pack Yun Chuji's luggage and ran away. Yun Chujo pouted. Aya, this Chunyu is really thin-skinned. If I wasn't thick-skinned enough, I would have been slapped to death by the gigolo. By the way, after I leave, I don't know if the gigolo will be angry. I'd better leave a letter for him. Chapter 95. The first letter Xiaozhou wrote to the Supreme Emperor Yun Chujo sighed. If it weren't for the fact that she was afraid that the gigolo would vent his anger on the Yun family, she wouldn't have written him such a troublesome letter. She wished that she could sneak away. It seemed like she had to find an opportunity to make the gigolo promise that he wouldn't touch the Yun family. Yun Chujo took out her brush and wrote a letter to Di Biming in one go. Dear Prince Charming, your words are like a book. Although my longing for you is like a torrential river that never stops, in order to improve myself and be more compatible with you, I have decided to go to the Linghua sect to further my studies. I know that you will definitely be angry. After all, with such an outstanding and powerful master like you, why would I need to go to the Linghua sect? However, I did this for a reason. Firstly, you were busy with your affairs and couldn't give me pointers for a very long time. You also said that it was very easy for the Thunder Spirit route to go berserk. Therefore, for the sake of my little life, I could only go to the Linghua sect to try my luck. Secondly, it was said that not only did the Linghua sect teach techniques, but they also taught courses such as talisman making, pill refining, array formation, and weapon refining. In order to love you better in the future, I decided to become multi-talented. Only then could I defeat those coquettish bitches by your side. Repel the vixens who seduced you. Thirdly, the world is so big. I want to go out and take a look. Dear Prince Charming, the messages are long and affectionate. My deep love for you is not described here. If you miss me, you can go to the Linghua sect to see me. Little Jiu who loves you to the bone years months days. After Yun Chujo finished writing, she admired it a few times in satisfaction. TSK. My literary talent is simply too great. And this word, it's simply too cool and elegant. The gigolo will definitely be shocked when he sees it. Yun Chujo sealed the letter in the envelope, and then wrote on it, personally opened by the Prince Charming. She placed the envelope on the table and pressed it with a ruler. Chun Yu, in half a month's time my master might come looking for me. Give this letter to my master. My master has a bad temper, so you must remember to give this letter to him. Otherwise, he will tear down our Yun family. Chun Yu nodded repeatedly. Seeing the words on it, she asked suspiciously, Miss, why did you write the words personal revelation of a male god? Shouldn't you write the words personal revelation of a benefactor? Yun Chujo coughed dryly. My master is a male, right? So there's no problem with the word male. My master is quite powerful, so it's not a problem to call him a god, right? Together they are a male god. Chun Yu nodded blankly. Although what Miss said was right, why did she feel that something was not right? After saying that, Yun Chujo slipped back into the bedroom and looked at the dead Xiao Hanio with worry. Xiao Hanio had been in hibernation all this time, so she definitely had to bring it along. The problem was how to bring it along? Put it in a package? Don't suffocate it to death again. In the end, Yun Chujo asked Chun Yu to make a cloth bag that could be carried diagonally. There were a few air holes on it, and the inside was covered with soft cotton. Then she placed Xiao Hanio inside. The next morning when everyone gathered, Yun Chujia's strange style once again refreshed everyone's understanding. Yun Chujo was carrying a huge bag behind her, and in front of her was a colorful small bag with 2 large copper basins in her hands. The corner of Yun Xiaoshan's eyes twitched. Xiaojiu, what's in your bag? And why are you carrying 2 copper basins? Grandfather, we're going out, so we naturally have to be more prepared. I have all sorts of treasures in here such as salt, pepper noodles, sugar and so on. These 2 copper basins are naturally for cooking. Actually, Yun Chujo was killing 2 birds with 1 stone by bringing these 2 copper basins. They could be used to cook food in the wild, and they could also absorb lightning. Yun Xiaotian gagged and wanted to say something but swallowed it back. Little Jiu, are you going to take the entrance test? Or are you going to go sightseeing? Forget it. If he couldn't pass the test, he would be more at ease with little Jiu by his side. Chapter 96. The Little Wild Horse That Got Loose. Under the instructions of the Yun family members, Yun Chujo and the others mounted their horses and set off valiantly and proudly. And Feng, who was in the corner, was about to go crazy from anxiety as he watched everyone's back view. Why did this 9th Miss suddenly have a stroke and want to go to the Linghua sect? There was no warning at all. But this damn voice transmission talisman actually broke. It really killed him. Why did everything go wrong when he met this black girl? If, after half a month, the Honorable Sir came and found that the 9th Miss was gone, oh God, the consequences would be unimaginable. What should he do? And Feng struggled for a while and hurriedly left a message under the roof tile. He also left a secret mark before secretly following Yun Chujo and the others. After all, his mission was to protect Miss Jiu. As for His Majesty, he could only hope that this ancestor would not destroy Yi City in a fit of anger. Yun Chujo did not know about Feng's worries. This fellow was so happy now. First he bought a large pile of pastries at the pastry shop, then he bought a large pile of cooked food at the delicatessen shop, and finally he went to the grocery store to get a large bag of candied fruits. Yun Chushan couldn't help but twitch her lips. She wanted to say something sarcastic, but unfortunately, Yun Chu and Yun Chuki ignored her now. She could only curse in her heart. Foodie. Good for nothing. Useless. Yun Chujo bought good food and went to the pharmacy to buy some medicinal herbs for daily use. Then she waved her hand and said, "Go out of the city." Once out of the city, Yun Chujo was like a wild horse that had gone out of control. She didn't know how to show off. Picking wild flowers by the roadside. Picking wild fruits by the roadside. Looking at the handsome men by the roadside. Unfortunately, when the passers-by saw Yun Chujia's dark face and the gorgeous small bag, they all looked like they had seen a yaksha. None of them went up to her. Yun Chujo grumbled unhappily, Xiao Hei. Just because of you, master, I have missed so many beauties. When you wake up, I will definitely teach you a lesson. Forget it, these people with no taste really have no taste. They're not even as good looking as a gigolo. Who cares? Humph. Yun Chuo, who was beside her, frowned. Xiaojiu, what are you mumbling about? Why do I hear something about beauties in gigolo? Are you going to go back to your old habits? Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. Fifth sister, did you hear wrongly? I'm talking about Mei Jing and the little white rabbit. I'm a little hungry and I'm thinking of killing a few wild rabbits to satisfy my hunger. Yun Chu looked at her suspiciously and warned, Little Jiu, although we will listen to you this time, if you do anything out of line as your sister, I will not forgive you. Yun Chujo shrunk her neck. Fifth sister, don't worry. I promise to be obedient. Although Yun Chujo said it well, everything looked fresh and fresh. She would not be able to travel much in a day. Moreover, she had quite a lot of banknotes with her. She would definitely be able to stay in a high-class room in a big inn, and every meal would definitely be a sumptuous feast. It was also the first time Yun Chuo and the others went on a long journey. Moreover, they were all young, the age that they loved to play, so they let Yun Chujo do whatever she wanted. The Linghua sect was not particularly far from Yi City. If they rode on a flying spirit tool, it would only take 1 day, but Yun Chujo and the others would need at least half a month to arrive by horse. After leaving the Donghua nation's borders, Yun Chujia's spending was obviously much more restrained. This was because silver notes were not commonly used in other countries, and could only be spent in gold and silver. The closer the town was to the Linghua sect, the more different it seemed from Yi City. In these places, the spiritual qi was obviously thicker than in Yi City. The people's cultivation levels were also not bad. The Yun siblings were already outstanding in Yi City. In this place, they became quite ordinary. Yun Chujiu and the others were now facing a very serious problem. They were going to go hungry. Chapter 97. As they got closer to the Spirit Flower sect, the value of gold and silver began to depreciate greatly. People began to use spirit pearls and spirit stones to trade. 1 spirit pearl could be exchanged for 10 taels of gold, and 1 spirit pearl could only buy 2 meat buns. Even though everyone's food had been reduced from delicacies to steamed buns and boiled water, the gold and silver in their bags were still decreasing rapidly. Yun Chujiu and the others had also thought of buying some demon beasts to exchange for money or to eat them. However, this place was almost 2 days away from the nearest demon beast forest, and traveling back and forth was really too time-consuming. In the end, it was still Yun Chujia's idea to sell 2 of their horses and exchange them for 3,000 spirit pearls. Finally, the problem of eating was temporarily solved. Yun Chujiu estimated the distance. She could still reach the Linghua sect by living frugally, but the quality of life was obviously declining. Needless to say, the food was simple, and the accommodation was often only 2 rooms. Everyone squeezed in. On this day, Yun Chujiu and the others finally arrived at the Linghua city at the foot of the Linghua faction mountain. The Linghua city was filled with people. Other than the people who came to participate in the test, there were also many relatives and friends who accompanied the test. All the inns and restaurants in Linghua city were full, and the prices were shockingly high. Yun Chujiu and the others found a simple and crude inn with great difficulty. They rented 2 rooms and temporarily settled down. Although they were short of money, everyone was still very excited. The things they saw along the way would probably never have been dreamed of in Yi City. Coming out this time had really broadened their horizons. The next day, Yun Chujiu suggested that everyone go to the place where the Linghua sect registered. First, they wanted to see the registration process, and second, they wanted to find out the truth. The place where the Linghua sect had registered was at the foot of the Linghua sect's mountain, and it was very close to Linghua city. Yun Chujiu and the others did not ride horses, and they strolled to the place where they had registered. Along the way, the Yun family members received several disdainful gazes. "Tsk, look at those people. They look like country bumpkins who haven't seen the world." That's right. They're actually wearing ordinary clothes and they don't even have a spirit tool. They're really poor. They're not young anymore. Look at their cultivation. How dare they come here? Even if they could register, they wouldn't be able to get in. Forget it. Forget about taking the entrance exam. Their cultivation doesn't even meet the registration criteria. That black girl doesn't even have any spirit. If I were them, they wouldn't even have the face to come here. And that black girl. It's one thing if she's a piece of trash, but she's actually carrying a weird bag. Could it be that there's a steamed bun in it? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, with their poverty, they definitely can't afford a storage bag. Naturally, they have to carry a bag. My servants are even richer than them. Yun Chuo and the others heard the crowd's discussion and looked at the others' attire and cultivation. They couldn't help but feel inferior. And they couldn't even walk naturally. Yun Chujo frowned and her small face became stern. She glanced at the Yun family members unhappily. Brothers and sisters, this cultivation itself is against the heaven. It is meant to constantly surpass oneself and overcome all kinds of difficulties. Why have a few words of gossip affected your minds? We cannot decide our own origins, but we can work harder and better than others. Although the people of our Yun family aren't rich, we must have faith. All of you, stand up straight and hold your heads high. Yun Chuo's words seemed to have hit Yun Chuo and the others in the head. Everyone looked ashamed. We're not even as good as Little Jiu. Little Jiu can stand up straight even without spiritual power, so why can't we? Yun Chuo and the others immediately changed from their previous timidity to calm and confident. The siblings of the Yun family were already very outstanding in appearance, but now that their imposing manner was put together, they actually didn't look any worse than the others. They even had an extra bit of pride. Yun Chujo secretly gave herself 32 likes. I gave myself 99 points, one more point to be afraid of my own pride. Chapter 98. Io, you can do this? When those gossipers saw this, they embarrassedly said a few sarcastic words and did not say anything more. Yun Chujo relied on her small stature and continuously squeezed forward. Finally, she squeezed to the front and saw a few people wearing the Linghua sect's clothing sitting behind a long table. There were two types of people who registered. One was to directly take out the registration token, the other was to conduct a test on the spot. However, the requirements for the test were very harsh. Yun Chujo glanced at it. 17 and 16 years old required a spirit enhancement of the 6th level. 15 and 14 years old required a spirit enhancement of the 5th level. Yun Chujo frowned. Not a single member of the Yun family had met the requirements. If they followed the procedure, they definitely wouldn't have a chance. She could use the token given by Elder Sun to sign up herself, but what about Yun Chu and the others? She couldn't have come all the way here for nothing, right? Yun Chujo exited the crowd and told them what she had seen. Although Yun Chu and the others were mentally prepared, they couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Yun Chushan glared at Yun Chujo hatefully. She thought to herself that she was really taking advantage of the situation. She should have given her token to Yun Chujo. Although the Yun family members couldn't hide their disappointment, since they were already here, they should just watch the show. After all, such an opportunity was very rare. Yun Chujia's little head was spinning rapidly. How could she get Yun Chu and the others to sign up as well? To look for Elder Sun? It was obviously impossible. Not just anyone could enter the Linghua sect. Moreover, Elder Sun's status was extremely high. Even if she could use some small means to meet Elder Sun, it would still take a long time. By then it would be too late. Why not beat up the person who signed up and force him to sign up? Cough cough, let's not talk about whether he could beat them up or not. Smashing the Spirit Flower sect's territory was courting death. Bribe them. Not to mention she was so poor that she was selling horses. How could she have any spirit pearls or spirit stones to bribe them? Just as Yun Chujo was frowning in confusion, there was a small commotion in front of her. You only have one registration token in your hand, so you can only sign up alone. As for you, I'm sorry you don't qualify to sign up. Please go back. Senior brother, Elder Shao only has one registration token left. We're siblings, so please make an exception. Yun Chujo was stunned. This voice. Wasn't this the voice of the white trash? Yun Chujo squeezed to the front and took a look. It really was Bai Mayu and Bai Moru. The disciple in charge of the registration looked at Bai Mayu and Bai Moru. Elder Shao? Which Elder Shao? Shao Pancher from the West Peak, Elder Shao. Bai Mayu and Bai Moru had already met Elder Xiao a few days ago. Elder Xiao had originally given them 2 registration tokens, but coincidentally, when Bai Moru was shopping, he actually let someone take them away. The Bai siblings were afraid that Elder Xiao would blame them, so they didn't dare to ask for another token. They were prepared to fool around first. If they went over, they didn't need to look for Elder Xiao anymore. When the disciple in charge of registration saw that there was indeed the word Xiao on the back of the registration token, he was a little hesitant. This disciple happened to be a disciple of West Peak. Elder Xiao was the hall master of West Peak's law enforcement hall, and he was a famous black-faced fiend. It was better not to provoke him. After all, he was only qualified to register, and even if he registered, he might not be able to pass the test. He might as well do him a favor. All right. Go over there and get the test jade token. The disciple waved his hand, indicating that Bai Mayu and Bai Moru had passed. When Yun Chujo saw this, her eyes immediately lit up. "Io, you can do this." Yun Chujo hopped in front of the disciple and handed over the registration token that Elder Sun had given her. Chapter 99. Fengming. The disciple took the token and sized up Yun Chujo. He frowned. This black girl obviously didn't have any spiritual power. How could she have a registration token? Forget it. It's better to be less troublesome. Anyway, with the token, it's not my fault. Go there and get the test jade token. The disciple said impatiently. Okay. Brothers and sisters, let's go and get the test jade token. Yun Chujo waved her little claws, signaling Yun Chu and the others to come over. Yun Chu and the others were a little confused, but they still walked over. The disciple was anxious. Hey, I said I'll let you get the test jade token alone. Do they have a jade token? If not, come and test it. Yun Chujo widened her eyes. Senior brother, my situation is the same as the brother and sister from before. Why can they do it but we can't? That disciple choked and said angrily out of embarrassment. Their token was given by Elder Xiao. Elder Xiao is the most fair, so he naturally won't cheat. Io, I don't like what you're saying. You're obviously looking at others to make a dish. The token given by Elder Xiao is fine, but why can't the token given by our Middle Peak son Bozhong and Elder Sun be fine? Yun Chujo shouted at the top of her voice. Yun Chujo had a stomach full of evil thoughts. This fellow had the idea of taking advantage of the situation. Previously in the Demon Beast Forest, it was obvious that the 5 peaks of the Linghua sect were secretly competing with each other. Today I've grasped this point. I don't believe that there wouldn't be someone from the Middle Peak standing up for me. The disciple in charge of the registration was angered by Yun Chuji's retort. His face was red and his neck was thick. You're spouting nonsense. No, in short, it's no good. Yun Chu and the others were already scared silly. This little Zhou's guts were simply too big. She actually dared to challenge the disciples of the Linghua sect. Yun Chu tugged at Yun Chujo, meaning that it was fine if she couldn't register her name. She didn't expect Yun Chujo to be even more agitated. She stomped her feet and started to scold. If you say it's no good, then it's no good? Who do you think you are? At worst, I'll go and ask Elder Sunday. Why is his token not as useful as that Elder Xiao? Could it be that our Middle Peak is half a level lower than the West Peak? That disciple almost fainted from anger. Originally, it was a good job to be in charge of registration. How could he have met such a little girl who was pestering him? A small matter actually went to the point of being between the 2 peaks. If this were to happen, he would not be able to do anything. Just as the situation was in a stalemate, a clear voice came from the sky. Chihua, I didn't expect your West Peak. Everyone looked up and saw a man dressed in the Linghua sect's inner sect disciple uniform riding a sword over. The man was tall and straight, slender like a bamboo. His long ink-colored hair fluttered slightly in the wind. He was handsome, and his pair of amorous peach blossom eyes were slightly raised at this moment. There was a sneer on his face. Yun Chuji's focus was on the sword tassel. What the hell was that tender pink sword tassel? It seemed that this person was definitely a flirtatious guy. The disciple who was in charge of registering felt his heart tighten. Fengming. Oh no, why did this evil ancestor come? Senior brother Fengming, don't listen to this little girl's nonsense. There's some misunderstanding here. The disciple hurriedly went forward to explain. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. When this flirtatious guy said your West Peak just now, it was obvious that he didn't like the West Peak. Perhaps he was from the Middle Peak. I had to work harder. This must be senior brother Fengming, right? I've long heard that senior brother Fengming from the Linghua sect is not only extremely handsome, but he's also magnanimous and the most upright. After seeing him today, it's as I expected. Fengming jumped down from the flying sword. After hearing Yun Chujia's words, he was very satisfied. You little girl, you really know how to talk. Even though what you said is the truth, there's no need for you to be so direct. Chapter 100. Only allowed one person. Yun Chujo bared her little white teeth. With a smile she said, Senior brother Fengming, you came at the right time. Please come and judge. Clearly, the person in front of you can just take Elder Shao's token of West Peak, but I can't take Elder Sun's token of Middle Peak. It's really too much of a bully. When Fengming heard this, his expression turned cold. Qihua, what do you mean? It's good to take Elder Shao's token of West Peak. Why can't this little girl take Elder Sun's token of West Peak? When Yun Chujo heard this, she instantly had an idea. It seemed that this flirtatious man should be from the Middle Peak. Qihua secretly complained. How could he be so unlucky? Not only did he meet a little girl who was pestering him, but he also met this Fengming. How was he going to end this? When Fengming saw that Qihua did not speak, he was even more certain that what Yun Chujo said was true. Qihua, can you give me a straightforward answer? Otherwise, I'll bring this little girl to invite Elder Sun over. Senior brother Fengming, since you have spoken, then I will give you face. Little girl, you can bring one person over. You can choose one. Qihua gritted his teeth in anger. Elder Sun Bozhong was famous for being unstingy. Even if he was unreasonable, he could still stir up some trouble. If he was really invited over, he would definitely not be able to do well. 1. Yun Chujo shook her head. I can't do one. These are all my brothers and sisters. I can't miss any of them. Little girl, don't push your luck. I'm already giving senior brother Fengming face by asking you to bring one. If you don't agree, then don't bring any of them. Qihua sneered. This little girl really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. She actually wanted to use a token to bring 6 people? No way. Yun Chujo looked at Fengming. Fengming shrugged and obviously didn't intend to interfere. It was already good enough to bring one person, but 6 people really didn't make sense. Yun Chuo and the others all thought that this was the best outcome. After all, it was already good enough to bring one more person along. As for who to bring along, it was up to little Zhou to decide. Yun Chushan secretly gritted her teeth. Yun Chujo would definitely bring Yun Chuzi or Yun Chu along, so she definitely would not be part of it. This senior brother is right. It is indeed enough to bring one person along with a token. But back then, besides Elder Sun, the Peak Master of Middle Peak also had 3 other Elders of Middle Peak. They might have promised to register me with a token, but they did not bring it along with them back then. That was why Elder Sun acted as a representative and gave me a token. Yun Chujo said nonsense with a serious face. The Peak Master of Middle P. You are just a little girl without spirit energy. How can you get the Peak Master of Middle Peak to sign up for you? Qihua's face was full of disdain. It was obvious that he did not believe him. TCH. Do you think those mighty figures are as blind as you? More than 20 days ago, in the Demon Beast Forest of Donghua Country, the Peak Master, Elder Sun, and the others saw that I was smart, kind, and cute. Not only did they save me, but they also wanted to bring me directly back to the Spirit Flower Sect. However, the Peak Master said that the Spirit Flower Sect had rules and had to participate in the test. Otherwise, I would have taken Elder Sun as my master long ago. Why would I need to look down on you? If you don't believe me, you can ask Elder Sun. Yun Chujia's small face was full of arrogance. This? Qihua was somewhat skeptical. More than 20 days ago, all the mighty figures in the sect had indeed rushed to Donghua Nation. It was said that the 9-colored immortal sparrow had appeared. Could it be that what this little girl said was true? Oh right, if you don't believe me, ask that person called by Moyu just now. At that time, I was inside Elder Sun's flying spirit tool and even greeted him. Yun Chujo pointed at Bai Moyu, who was not far away. Chapter 101 was done. Chi Hua looked at Bai Mayu. Bai Mayu, is what this little girl said true? Bai Mayu wanted to deny it, but if the matter was exposed in the future, Elder Xiao might think that there was something wrong with my quality, so he could only say gloomily, that day, Yun Chujo did ride on the flying spirit tool of the Linghua sect, and Elder Sun said that she was her master. As soon as Bai Mayu finished speaking, everyone instantly exploded. What? Elder Sun of the Middle Peak actually took this black girl as his disciple. How was this possible? This black girl didn't have any spirit energy at all. Was Elder Sun blind? Chi Hua was instantly like a deflated rubber ball. If Elder Sun really took this black girl as his disciple, then this black girl would definitely be an inner sect disciple in the future, and he couldn't afford to offend her. Although Feng Ming was still skeptical, he saw that Yun Chujo was sweet-tongued and would cause trouble. Secondly, he didn't like the way the West Peak acted, so he just looked on with an inexplicable cold expression and didn't say anything. Senior brother, if you still don't believe me, you might as well take me to ask Elder Sunday. He has always been kind and amiable. He will definitely be very patient to answer your questions. Yun Chujo emphasized on kind and amiable and patient. Chi Hua shook his head like a rattle drum. Elder Sun was famous for being a thorn in the side. He even dared to contradict the sect leader, so he would only ask if he was stupid. All right. You guys go and get the test tokens. If I find out that you are lying in the future, HME. Chi Hua said a few polite words and forced himself to smooth things over. Yun Chujo did not argue with him. She quickly brought Yun Chu and the others to get the test tokens, so as not to cause any more trouble. At this moment, Yun Chu and the others were dumbfounded. How could this be possible? The Linghua sect's test qualification was the dream of countless people. How many families had spent a huge amount of money just to barely obtain one spot? And little Joe actually managed to get them 6 spots with just one mouth. That was 6 spots. Wasn't this too awesome? After this incident, in the hearts of the Yun family, Yun Chujo instantly transformed from a pitiful little sheep into a cunning little fox. Bai Mayu and his sister were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Yun Chujo actually used us as a raft to let Yun Chu and the others obtain the qualifications to take the test. How detestable. Brother, how are you going to speak up for that slut? Bai Mora hated Yun Chujo to death. This slut was so ugly and shamelessly hooked up with other people. Could it be that senior brother Feng Ming's eyes weren't good? He actually didn't even look at her. Bai Moyu fro. Besides, that trash Yun Chujo definitely won't be able to pass the entrance test. When the time comes, we'll find an opportunity to deal with her. Bai Moru stomped her feet unwillingly, not saying a word. At this moment, Yun Chujo was eagerly trying to get close to Feng Ming. Senior brother Feng Ming, thank you for speaking up for justice. Your reputation is out there. I've admired you for a long time. Today, I've seen that it's exactly as the rumors say, even more outstanding than the rumors say. Feng Ming subconsciously straightened his back. No need to be so polite. It's just a small matter. Senior brother Feng Ming is really like his name. Feng Ming is from the 9 heavens and is extraordinarily handsome. Little Joe will remember the great favor you've done for me. I will definitely repay you heavily in the future. Yun Chujia's face was full of sincerity. It was clearly flattery, but when she said it, it made people feel extremely sincere. Feng Ming originally did not like the disciples of the West Peak and helped Yun Chujo along the way. Now that he was flattered by Yun Chujia's flattery, he suddenly felt that he was the embodiment of justice and a kind messenger. Little girl, come with me. I have something to tell you. Chapter 102. Wait and see. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat when she heard Feng Ming's words. She eagerly followed Feng Ming to a more hidden place. Little girl, I see that you don't have any spiritual power. I'm afraid it will be very difficult for you to pass the test. However, the test this time is different from the previous ones. The first 3 rounds require a team to participate in the test. You must seize the opportunity. Feng Ming saw that Yun Chujo did not have any spiritual power. He could not help but feel sympathetic. Yun Chujia's heart moved, and she quickly thanked him. Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming. I will definitely make good preparations when I go back. Feng Ming could not help but look at Yun Chujo in a new light. He thought that Yoon Chujo would definitely ask him about the content of the test, but he did not expect the little girl to know her limits, so the smile on her face became even more genuine. "You're welcome. I hope you can pass the test." Yoon Chujo thanked him again. Only then did she find the extremely excited Yoon Chu and the others and returned to the inn. "Little Jo, why did that senior brother Feng Ming look for you just now?" As soon as she entered the room, Yoon Chushan could not wait to ask Yoon Chujo. Yoon Chujo did not hide anything. "He told me that the first 3 rounds of the tests were team tests. The results were ranked according to the team's results." Yoon Chushan immediately cried out, "What? Then wouldn't we have a burden like you?" Yoon Chuki snorted coldly. "Third sister, if it weren't for little Jo, you wouldn't even have the qualifications to participate in the test. What an ingrate." Yoon Chuzi and the others also gave Yoon Chuzi a reproachful look. Yoon Chushan quickly said, "I was in a rush. I didn't mean anything else." Although Yoon Chushan said so, she had already calculated in her heart. If she were to team up with the Yoon family, she would definitely not get a good result, not to mention that Yoon Chujo, this trash, would be a burden. It was not easy for her to get the test qualification. Was she going to give it up just like that? Absolutely not. After dinner, Yoon Chushan found an excuse and sneaked out of the inn alone. Yoon Chu, Yoon Chuki, and Yoon Chujo stood by the window and watched Yoon Chushan sneakily leave the inn. "Little Jo, what did you say Yoon Chushan went to do?" Yoon Chu asked suspiciously. "Of course, she went to find a partner to form a team. She didn't want to be implicated by a good-for-nothing like me." Yoon Chujo answered slowly. "Humph. What an ingrate. I really misjudged her in the past. But there are no acquaintances in Linghua City. Who did she go to find?" Yoon Chuki was furious. "Why are there no acquaintances? Have you forgotten about the white scum and the others? Bai Moyu? It can't be. The Bai family and how could they agree to team up with Yoon Chushan? They will agree because they have the same bad taste." Yoon Chuji's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. "Yoon Chushan, I hope you won't disappoint me. If you don't seek your own death, I really have no way to get rid of you, the black sheep of the Yoon family. Little Jo, what should we do?" Yoon Chu didn't notice little Jo's expression. She looked at Yoon Chushan, who was far away, and asked worriedly. "Wait and see." Yoon Chujo said slowly. Yoon Chu and Yoon Chuki were stunned. Little Jo was indeed different from before. Ignoring everything else, just his calmness was much better than theirs. 2 hours later, Yoon Chushan returned. Besides guilt, there was also an uncontrollable joy in her eyes. Yoon Chujo and the other 2 pretended not to see it. They chatted for a while and then went to sleep. Since the 4 of them were in the same room, Yoon Chu and Yoon Chushan slept on the bed. Yoon Chujo and Yoon Chuki simply slept on the ground. In her sleep, Yoon Chujo dreamed that a wolf had bitten her neck. She instinctively raised her leg and kicked the wolf. "Black thing. How dare you kick me? Do you want to die?" A cold voice said, and it was the kind that gnashed her teeth. Chapter 103. I Swear on My Beauty Gigolo? When Yoon Chujo heard Di Biming's voice, she was immediately startled awake. When Yoon Chujo opened her eyes, she was a little dumbfounded. That's not right. She was clearly sleeping in the room of the inn. Where was this place? Yoon Chujo did not have time to carefully observe her surroundings and quickly focused her attention on Di Biming. Yoon Chujo looked at Di Biming, who was emitting a dense killing intent, and could not help but shrink her neck. The pretty boy was about to turn into a black face. Also, why did she feel that the pretty boy's posture was a little strange? Why was his leg clamped so tightly? He was actually bending over? Di Biming was about to explode with anger. "Black thing, are you getting bolder and bolder? Not only do you dare to run away privately, you actually dare to kick me? What's the point of me keeping you?" Di Biming's eyes were red. It was obvious that he was very angry. He reached out his hand and was about to slap Yoon Chujo. Prince Charming. Prince Charming. Don't kill me with your palm. Even if I die, you have to make me understand, right? Why are you so angry? I didn't run away, I left a letter for you. Yoon Chujo was so scared that her little heart was pounding. She really didn't know what was wrong with this pretty boy. Letter? What letter? I didn't see it. You lying black thing, I'll slap you to death. Biming remembered that he excitedly went to find Yun Chujio, but was stood up. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Yun Chujio was about to cry idle. I stayed up all night to write a letter to you. I even specially instructed my servant, Chun Yu, to give it to you, but she didn't give it to you? Biming snorted. Your servant? Every time I went to your place, didn't I knock her out first? How would she give it to me? Are you a pig's brain? Yun Chujio was about to cry because of her stupidity. Yes, every time the gigolo would smash the door and knock Chun Yu out. How would Chun Yu have the chance to give the letter she wrote to the gigolo? My Prince Charming, my Prince Charming. I swear on my beauty that I really wrote the letter. Yun Chujio said pitifully. Biming's eyes twitched. Your beauty. Sorry, I didn't realize that you have any beauty to speak of. I only saw a black bean sprout. Yun Chujio silently recited 100 times that the impulse was a devil. Only then did she suppress the primal power in her body. Prince Charming, that's not right. Since you didn't see my letter, how did you know that I came to the Linghua faction? Biming touched his nose. I naturally have a way to know what I want to know. Don't change the topic. Any letter you say is fake, right? Yun Chujio's life was in danger at this mo. If there's any ink, I will immediately write it down for you. I'll give you 15 minutes to write the letter down. When that time comes, I'll take this letter of yours and compare it with the one you left at the Yun family. If there's one word missing, I'll whip you. Biming really couldn't think of any punishment. He just randomly said one word. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Damn it. He even used a whip to whip her? This pretty boy didn't have any bad habits, right? He was indeed a pervert. Sooner or later, she was going to break away from his control. Poor Supreme Emperor. How could he have thought that just a casual whip would make dirty little Joe's mind fill up so much? Prince Charming, but I don't have any ink, paper or inkstone. How do I write? Anine. Go and find some ink, paper and inkstone right away. Biming snorted coldly and walked to the door and shouted outside. Anine miserably agreed. My lord, it's the middle of the night. Where can I find some ink, paper and inkstone? Chapter 104 had a painful cry. No matter how Yun Chujio looked at it, she felt that Biming's walking posture was a little strange. Then she remembered the kick in her dream. Could it be that she had kicked the gigolo? Ha ha ha, that was hilarious. Yun Chujio almost laughed out loud. She quickly turned around and covered her mouth with her hand. However, her heart was bursting with joy. She deserved it. This was karma. Pretty boy, you have a day like this too. Why didn't I kick you to death? Anine returned to the house after Biming gave his orders. He saw Yun Chujio's back facing him, and her small body was trembling non-stop. Biming thought that Yun Chujio was crying, and he couldn't bear it. He coughed dryly. Don't cry. I don't want your life. Yun Chujio, who was laughing secretly, was speechless. Yun Chujio tried hard to hold back her laughter and turned around with a bitter face. Biming looked at her suspiciously. Why are there no tears on your face? Were you pretending to cry just now? How dare you lie to me? Yun Chujio hugged Biming's waist. Prince Charming, don't you know that there is a kind of pain that makes you want to cry but have no tears? I am a sinner now. When I think about how my carelessness made you so angry, my heart is tormented by guilt, shame and regret. I have let you down. I am a sinner. I am simply an extremely evil person, and the heavens will not tolerate it. I was wrong. I was extremely wrong. I am simply not a human. I am too much of a bastard. After being hugged by Yun Chujio, Biming's belly full of anger instantly vanished into thin air. All the pores on his body seemed to have opened up, and he only felt an itch in his heart. He had to do something to express his feelings at this moment. Hence, Biming decided to continue what he had been disturbed by Yun Chujio. He lowered his head and bit Yun Chujio's slender neck. Biming initially only wanted to suck blood to detoxify the cold. However, after sucking 2 mouthfuls of blood, his taste slowly changed. Yun Chujio did not react at first. When she reacted and wanted to break free, she realized that she could not move at all. Damn it! Was the gigolo a vampire? Was he trying to suck her into a mummy? She had not lived long enough. She did not want to die. However, Yoon Chujo realized that something was not right. What was the damn gigolo doing? Was he a dog? Was he looking for something to eat? Prince Charming, what are you doing? I was wrong, I promise there won't be a next time. You are a magnanimous man. Please forgive me this time. Yoon Chujo said with a trembling voice. Di Biming ignored her. After a while, he finally released Yoon Chujo. Prince Charming, why did you bite me? Yoon Chujo felt that her face. Oh no, could it be that the gigolo had poisoned her? Di Biming snorted coldly. Do you think I'm willing to do this because I have nothing better to do? Isn't it because you ate my exquisite scarlet sunset fruit? From now on, I'll drink your blood every month to detoxify the poison. You owe me this. After hearing that, not only was Yoon Chujo not afraid, but she felt relieved. Since the gigolo wanted to rely on her blood to detoxify the poison, then he wouldn't kill her. With this understanding, Yoon Chujo became bolder. She snorted coldly, if you want to drink blood, then do it quickly. Why are you taking so long? I'm happy. I think you're too ugly. I'll decorate it for you. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. Isn't it much more beautiful? Di Biming took out a mirror from his storage ring and handed it to Yoon Chujo. Chapter 105. The little flame of resistance was extinguished. Yoon Chujo took the mirror suspiciously and saw that her neck was covered with red marks. Black thing, how is it? Is it much better looking than before? You don't have to thank me, Just as Di Biming was mocking Yoon Chujo proudly, Yoon Chujo suddenly threw the mirror and bit his neck. Yoon Chujo thought it was simple. Wasn't the gigolo going to bite her? Then she would bite him back. Anyway, he couldn't really kill her in order to detoxify the poison. Di Biming felt his whole body stiffen. The soft touch on his neck turned into a numbness that spread throughout his body. This numbness even made him ignore the pain in his wound. He just let Yoon Chujo bite him again and again. Yoon Chujo bit her lips until they were numb, but she did not see any reaction from Di Biming. She could not help but shut her mouth, thinking to herself, doesn't this pretty boy know how to feel pain? What a pervert! Yoon Chujo saw that Di Biming's neck was covered with tiny teeth marks, and only then did she feel much better. After a long while, Di Biming came back to his senses and roared fiercely, black thing, you actually dared to bite me. Do you want to die? Yoon Chujo hugged her shoulders and shook her calves. If you don't want to detoxify the cold poison, then just kill me. Anyway, I'll exchange my life for yours. What am I afraid of? Di Biming didn't react at first. Then his eyes deepened and he said coldly, black thing, you seem to have made a mistake. My poison doesn't have to be your blood. If you really want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish. Di Biming approached Yoon Chujo step by step, and his body emitted waves of cold air. Yoon Chujo was terrified. She immediately changed from a cocky little peacock to a fawning little quail. Prince Charming, it's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? This is all a misunderstanding. I was just joking, wasn't it funny? Ha ha, it's really funny. Di Biming did not reply. He just raised his hand, and a murderous aura enveloped Yoon Chujo's small body. It's actually not that funny. That Prince Charming, I didn't mean to bite you. Didn't you say that this red dot is very nice to decorate? I just wanted to decorate it for you. And you're back? Quick, come in. I was just about to write a love letter to my Prince Charming. Yoon Chujo actually did not see Anine. However, Anine happened to borrow a set of ink, paper and inkstone from the inn's room. When she heard Yoon Chujo shout, she asked outside, Your Excellency, I've brought the ink, paper and inkstone. Di Biming saw that the little flame that had just appeared in Yoon Chujo's body had been extinguished by him, so he took the opportunity to say, Send it in. Anine pushed the door open and respectfully placed the brush, ink, paper and inkstone on the table. Di Biming waved his hand, indicating that he could leave now. Anine inadvertently caught a glimpse of Di Biming's neck. Then she staggered and ran out with her hands and feet in a daze. Feng was hidden in the dark and waved at Anine. His face was full of excitement. What happened? Your 10,000-year-old ice-cold face is broken? I saw it just now. There are red marks all over your neck. It's obvious that it was bitten by a human. Anine's face was a little unnatural. He was not a gossipy person, but what he saw just now had a huge impact on him. If he did not share it with someone, he would really go crazy from holding it in. And Feng almost jumped up in shock. Your Majesty was done by the black girl again. The black girl is really fierce. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.